Okay, Annie. I don't know if you're there, but I'm ready to start stream.
You're ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
Oh my
absolutely ready.
gosh! Oh my gosh! I'm so
Yeah.
psyched.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go!
Yeah. Hold on. This is just a weird thing going on with my OBS that I'm trying to get rid of. This
Oh
isn't
my
gonna
gosh, it's
interfere with our
me.
conversation. It is.
I'm
It's
here.
you.
I love my little PNG. PNG Angela's so cute.
Oh my god! I noticed a huge difference between your reactive images and mine. Mine like are snappy. They like click between the on and off state. Yours is very like lazy. It's like slowly fades in and out.
Oh, it does the transition.
Yeah.
I can change that. I don't know
No,
if I
no, no,
like
no.
it.
Oh, you don't like it? Well, I mean, I'm not. I wasn't gonna say anything bad.
What? Okay. I guess we can keep it.
Hope.
Hello, hope and/or happiness.
I'm.
How are you?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, Annie. I was straight up lying. I was gonna rag on it before, so if you don't like it and I don't like it, then.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I agree.
God.
I like how snappy yours is, so I'm gonna switch it up.
Okay.
I think I can.
Yeah, and then
Hold on.
it'll change live on stream. I hope so. Banging
Uh,
tunes. Oh yeah, we're listening to that NG's video game music dispenser NES video game music with 235 NES tracks. That's what you're
It says
gonna
I
be hearing.
disabled the crossfade effect.
I see.
So other than that, I
Oh.
don't know what to do.
Hope, you're getting laid on Saturday. Okay, that's cool.
Congratulations on getting completely fucked. What position are you gonna do it in?
That might be a
Like,
little
are,
bit.
are your legs
much
gonna be
information.
up? Is it gonna be like doggy style? On the bed, on the couch, on the floor?
Hello, sponsored.
Outside.
Sponsored Axiom. It turns out that yes, those are my first and last name.
Pareya Patel?
Yes.
Ankles behind the head for sure. Well, that's the best way, absolutely.
Uh-huh. I don't know why my Google search bar is completely blank. I mean, you can see that I looked up games. It censored itself.
My favorite game of all time, Patience.
Yeah, Patience. Why is that just a picture of Solitaire?
No, it's Patience. Can't you tell?
No, that is Patience, to be fair. All right.
Everyone knows Patience.
This is a very important, like, the big three: Patience, Dinosaur Game, and Retro Bowl.
Don't forget Stickman Hook.
I would never forget Stickman Hook. Level Devil. Not a troll. Wait, hold on, what's the full title? Not a troll game. Yes, I mean, obviously.
It's not a troll game.
It's
folks.
not. Self-proclaimed.
You heard it
as
here
such.
first.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Cool games, free online.
Are we playing Voices of the Void tonight? I forgot that someone told me to download Voices of the Void, and I haven't done it yet. I was totally going to play that at some point. I should probably finish Majora's Mask first.
Well, yeah.
We're not even playing a game tonight. We're actually discussing the state of gaming in the year of our Lord
absolute state.
2025.
Wait, when was the last time you did a just chatting stream?
I mean, depending on what you define as a just chatting stream.
When was the last time you live streamed a just chatting stream? Like on your channel?
Okay. Depending on what you define as a just chatting stream, I live streamed the anime roundup in like fucking October. Or
I guess that
maybe
counts.
August or whatever.
To me, that's more of like a special event.
It
but
is.
It is. I guess just chatting also.
If you want to be really specific, like when was the last time I on my channel just talked? It might have been way back during. There was a stream that Fluffy couldn't host because of internet issues. and so I ended up having to stream it. And that stream is where not where I originally found the video, but where I originally showed Fluffy the Dragon Ball Z Linkin Park 9/11 memorial. That was the stream where I showed that to Fluffy for the first time, and it went from being a brainworm in my head to a brainworm in all of our heads.
You know what this reminds me of? Which is like us here on your channel. This reminds me of the Saho cast. That was fun.
Dude, I miss the Saho cast. Fluffy literally just took over that by having the Just Chatting stream on her channel. I need to get back. I need to get back into the talk show format.
You should like get into the habit of like getting reoccurring guests on.
Dude,
like
if you
interviews.
Straight up. Actually, if you look at the banner image for my my channel that isn't my VODs channel, where I haven't posted anything yet, but ultimately if I end up doing like solo anime reviews, that's where I'll post them. And if I end up doing stream edits, like edited versions of my VODs, that's where I'll post them. The banner for that channel has me sitting behind the talk show desk. Because that used to be a pretty big part of my channel identity, and now it's like, I do not do that. At all.
I love it so much. We need more. It's what the people want.
I'm realizing Fluffy asked me to play Danganronpa again, and you're asking me to do talk shows again, which means I'm literally just reverting back to year one Perea.
Yes!
I think 2025 is going to be the year where I repeat 2021.
It's the rebirth of the Phoenix, except for Spider this time.
No, that's fair. You know what? Tell you what. Starting in June, I'll just actually do a retry on every single one of my streams. Every stream you see is just going to be a repeat in order of the one that came out that specific day in 2025 or 2021.
Wait, does that mean you're gonna do City Skylines again?
Yeah, that's in June 16th. June 16th, you can look forward to City Skylines 1, and I'm gonna fuck it up just as bad. And then after that, we do some Just Chatting streams, followed by another Danganronpa stream, and then I think I started what was it? I did 2 Danganronpa streams in order. So yeah, Danganronpa. Everyone gets what they want. I'm going back to the way I used to be.
If I were to try and recreate my Anemoianarts year 1, it would just literally be me doing art streams using Paint Tool Sai without an avatar or mic. And I'd be doing that for multiple months.
Oh yeah.
Those days were so humble.
No, I don't think how do I say the way that I'm trying to say this, it's gonna sound really mean. I'm not trying to say you're not humble. I'm trying to say there's no need to be humble because you're the greatest there is.
Aw, thank you. No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. It was a very different time, but for sure.
I mean, like, I was definitely joking about just redoing every single one of my debut streams, but I am gonna end up doing most of the streams that I did year 1 because people just want to see that content again.
It doesn't hurt to just freshen up and try new things every now and then, or I guess retry old things.
In this case, I'm actually doing the opposite of trying new things. I'm trying old things again. No, but that's fun. I did think the Danganronpa streams were pretty fun, and I definitely wish I had a talk show again, because I miss doing the talk show. That was genuinely fun.
Oh, no. Big agree.
I call it a talk show, even though it literally just amounted to, like, what we're doing now. Except without, like, a specific topic.
It's got kind of a, I guess, podcast form. basically what talk shows are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't watched Ellen since like 2008.
No, that's true. Because literally the way it would work is I would be like, "Welcome to the Perea Talk Show." I introduce my guest, and then we just podcast for like 2 to 3 hours, and that was the stream every single time.
You should make it like daytime television. Make it like really trashy and
Oh,
messy.
yeah.
Like you bring me on and like
I start
Anemoianarts,
accusing you of just shit you
are
didn't
the
do.
father.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a Murray thing. Dude, no, that reminds me of when your first time on my channel during your Sahocast, somehow it devolved into a fucking therapy session. And like you somehow managed to make me sit there in the reclining chair, lay back, and just like discuss all of my trauma and
look deeply into your soul.
And then a week later you forgot it even happened. And I remember I was so mad at you because I was like, that was like way too personal, that entire stream. And then you don't even remember half of it. That was very funny.
Is that still up on your VOD channel?
Oh, yeah. It's the one where I'm in a Freudian chair and you're just sitting there beside me. Here, hold on. I might be able to pull up my fucking VOD channel. Here, if I go to YouTube.
I love going back and just like rewatching old podcasts or streams I did with other people. Like there was a few I did with Maple.
Channel. And then I go to videos. You can see all my videos. Here, it should be like somewhat recent. There it is. You can see it. It's right there. That was the first time that I had you on my channel. It turned into that. Oh shit, that's not on stream. Here.
That's such a good thumbnail.
Oh shit. Is there a way I can get this to not autoplay, please? There it is. Okay, hold on. I have to... Let me quickly try and show you this image, guys. Our fat fucking heads are in the way. Oh my god.
Leela!
Okay, this is quickly... There, that's what it looks like. I'll put it back in a moment, but that is... You can see that I looked up images of Freud and then just photoshopped Annie into that position.
God, I love your thumbnails so much.
I spend a good amount of time on my thumb. Dude, sometimes I spend so much time on my thumbnails and then they come out like the details are too small to be noticeable. And I'm like, oh, thank God I wasted like 2 hours of my life to add like a joke that no one can even parse.
I think for one of my most recent, I think for my recent video, which was the Nancy Pelosi video, I like went back and redrew over one of my canvases so I could make like a annoyed Angela, and it's the Mona Lisa version of her. And yeah, no, I like it because I actually did have to like paint kind of a new image for it, but it is just kind of the standard YouTuber slop. But I thought that was pretty fun.
No, I mean, like, technically speaking, the closest that my channel has ever come to, like, YouTuber face is the fucking literal AVGN right there in the center. I still love this fucking... I don't even have to change the, like, I don't have to put this to the front or anything because it's on the right side of the screen. Dude, that fucking image, I think that is so funny. ParaVGN. Oh my god.
It has so much staying power.
I will always love ParaVGN.
This is what I'm gonna have in my head while we're talking tonight.
Oh my god. Why is Doc from Punch-Out in that thumbnail? The reason Doc from Punch-Out is in this thumbnail is because a viewer from chat came in, made fun of my gameplay, and then explained how to play the game properly, and it managed to make the final dungeon the one that went down the easiest. Every single boss was a huge pain in the ass, and the last dungeon of Zelda 2 is famous for being insanely difficult. But because I had some guy who was just a Zelda 2 expert explain how to play the game to me, I sailed through the entire dungeon with absolutely no difficulty. And the Shadow Link fight wasn't even a fucking sweat off my, for my brow. Right? And so that's the reason I put Doc there. Some guy showed up and literally coached me and turned me into the best Zelda 2 player of all time. He did.
I'm so happy you have positive experiences with like people who love the game coming into your chat. Because like anytime that happens to me, I'm always at a point where I'm like hating this game that I'm playing.
No, that's fair.
Someone comes in the chat and it's like, oh, this is the first thing I ever played and loved.
Yeah. No, I mean,
like, this fucking sucks.
Zelda 2 is such a bad game, just fundamentally, Annie, that it is on the list of games we're going to be talking about today. In fact, this could be a segue into the actual main segment, if you want it to be. Sure. But, he coached me on how to play the game, but he did start off by literally fucking shitting all over me. So,
had to get good.
There was a trade-off. Anyway. We go back over. Alright, since we talked about Zelda 2, it's time to start our main segment. Unless there's anything else that you wanted to say, Annie.
I don't think I have any further comments. How are we doing this? Are we...
That might be it's probably big enough.
You talk about one game, I talk about two, since I have the longer list, or are we just bouncing back and forth?
There we go. Now that's nice.
Ow.
That's good. That's what we like to see. Yeah, I mean, like, I talk about a game that I had fucking problems with, and talk about what I didn't like about it, and then you go.
Okay, cool. And we're doing Zelda 2.
Yeah,
for starters.
That's the first one we're going with, because it just came up naturally in conversation. So
I've been very interested about Zelda 2 just in concept. All of the Nintendo sequels, like the first sequels they make, are so interesting because they try to transform the core gameplay.
New ways. That is one of the huge points that I really wanted to make about Zelda 2 is that I legitimately went into the first stream having so much fun with the game because the way that it shook up the Zelda formula, even though it was the second game in the series, it felt like a complete breath of fresh air after playing the first one. Mm-hmm. Everything about it was different, but at the start, at the beginning, it felt new, it felt interesting. I thought the 2D combat at the very beginning was really fun to play with. It felt very arcade style. And I don't play a lot of arcade games, so it was like actually a pretty pleasant experience.
And I bet the like core combat elements are a lot more fun in that like side scroller beat 'em up kind of format rather than the top down.
I think there were, in order to make a Zelda game in that like beat 'em up style, or rather the side, what would you call it, side scroller style, you have to change a lot of the fundamental, like the way that the game plays. At this point, they were willing to do that because it was only the second game in the series. But by the time they got to A Link to the Past, they instead just decided to refine what happened in Zelda 1 to the point where it became its own gameplay loop. But Zelda 2 is a lot like most games franchises. Their second game is really experimental and like strange, and sometimes that makes it the best game in the series, and sometimes that makes it the worst game in the series because it tries something new, and sometimes it sticks the landing, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that for the first like hour, maybe, of gameplay, let's say for the first hour of gameplay, Zelda 2 sticks the landing pretty well. Like, you're playing in a completely new style, and especially if you're coming back to Zelda 2 after playing future Zelda games, it feels so new and unique in comparison to multiple other games, rather than if you had played this on the NES as a child, when it was kind of just like, oh, the Zelda formula hasn't been really defined yet. Every Zelda game is different. But, like, after you play a lot of Zelda games, you get used to the formula, and then Zelda 2 throws a wrench in the works. And it's really interesting at first. And this is where I'm going to start ragging on it incessantly, because by the time you reach the biggest difficulty spike, which is Death Mountain, you realize that the game is not polished in its fighting system. Death Mountain is a huge problem because it is such a huge difficulty spike at the very beginning of the game. The way the gameplay loop works is that you get to explore the overworld, but there are certain places that you can't get to because you need items to get there. So you go to the first dungeon, and you complete the first dungeon, you fight BoJack Horseman, and then you get out of the first dungeon, and immediately you go and you try and find the second dungeon. And you can get into the second dungeon, but what they won't tell you is that the second dungeon is impossible to complete unless you finish Death Mountain first. So you've only completed one dungeon, and it throws you into one of the most difficult challenges in the game.
Goodness, and you can't go around it.
No,
like,
because
you have to do Death Mountain right afterwards.
Dungeon 3 requires an item from Dungeon 2, and Dungeon 2 is inaccessible without Death Mountain. So, like, you have to take a hard break and go on a shitty side quest right after the first dungeon in the game.
Are you expected to do lots of grinding, or is
Yes.
that just... Oh, God.
A large part of Zelda 2 is the level up mechanic. And in order to level up, to be strong enough to take on certain enemies, you just have to grind at points. I think I only grinded maybe 3 times throughout the game, but one of the times that I grinded, it was Death Mountain. And it wasn't me grinding to get levels, it was me grinding Death Mountain itself, because it's such a fucking pain in the ass.
Right.
Death Mountain is way too big a difficulty spike at the very fucking beginning of the game.
So, I have a question about the combat. Is it one of those systems where no matter what, it always kind of ends up with you and, like, your opponent just trading blows, and you end up losing lots of health kind of no matter what you do?
No, okay, so at the very beginning of the game, there's not a lot you can do except run away from damage sources. There are ways to evade attacks, and especially once you get... Like, okay, so you have a shield from the very beginning of the game, I'm pretty sure. But the shield is complicated. Because unlike in Zelda 1, where if you're facing the enemy, you always block, Zelda 2 introduces enemies that, there is standing position and crouching position, and an enemy can attack from either of those positions. And
it's like a fighting game.
Yeah, you have to choose which of those fucking positions you're blocking in.
Oh, that is very complex for a side scroller.
When Zelda 2 starts off, the beginning of the game, it's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, like that,
and
does
then it
seem
gets bad.
Cool from the outset, but yeah, I could see how that gets annoying.
As time goes on, you slowly gain access to more and more magic, which is able to help you in a lot of different ways. One thing about Zelda 2 that I genuinely think is significantly better than every single other Zelda game is that it gives you a healing spell. And the reason why I think that that's great is because heart hunting in Zelda is always a stupid pain in the ass. And it only became a thing in recent games that you can sleep in beds to heal. I think that Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Echoes of Wisdom giving you the ability to heal in a lot of different places is really cool and good, and it fixes the mechanic that I'm the most pissed off about in Zelda games, which is that there's no... Zelda 2, if you manage your mana properly, if you, understand how to use your magic and you don't waste it, you get, 2 heals before you have to refill your mana. I think that's an interesting mechanic, and I like the way that it works. But in every other
Oh
Zelda
god,
game,
it's Dark Souls. It's the Estus Flask.
kind of. But in other Zelda games, if you run out of health, then all you do is reset rooms, break pots, cut grass until you like RNG a heart. And I think the Zelda 2's way that it handles health is better. I just
no, that
prefer
does sound a lot more convenient.
So I think that there are things about Zelda 2 that are genuinely very good, but it is a bad game. There are a lot of fucking problems with it.
So, do you rate your games like you do anime? Like,
No, not really.
how would you rate this if you had to like slap a number on it?
If I had to like between 1 and 10,
Yeah, or 1 and 100.
maybe a 5.
Okay, so pretty like mid sort of game.
I think that what it does is it pisses me off a lot, which pushes it down, and then it also does a bunch of things that are genuinely cool, and so both of those end up canceling out almost perfectly, so that it's right in the middle.
Do you think like you could kind of fix all these problems you have with the game with like, I don't know, a patched ROM or something that just soars the rest of the game in quality for like balancing issues?
Yeah. No, the Punch Out doc, right? My little fucking coach that helped me through Zelda 2 told me in the very last stream that there is a version of the game which fixes 90% of its progression issues by simply allowing you to restart at the beginning of every dungeon. Like, there's a mechanic in Zelda 2, which sucks ass, which is every time you die, game over, I should say, because you can technically die and then respawn, but if you game over, it just hard resets you to the very beginning of the game, which, like, the temple that you start the game at. So there's a whole other island with like 4 dungeons on it. Or actually like 5, because I forgot to include the final dungeon. But like, you have to go to a completely different fucking island to like constantly towards the end of the game. And the fact that it resets you all the way to the very beginning of the game means that anytime you die in one of the later dungeons that isn't the final dungeon, you just have to do this fucking walk of shame. And you'll end up dying a lot. Especially against the fucking Volvagia, or whatever. Wherever they called it in Zelda 2. The fire serpent. The Volvagia boss. I fucking hate that boss.
Yeah, that sounds actually infuriating. I would lose my marbles.
Yeah,
if that was me.
Like, the major saving grace is that in the final dungeon, when you game over, it resets you to the beginning of the dungeon, rather than all the way to the beginning of the overworld. And one of the things that he said about the remake that he was trying to get me to play is that it changes it so that you always reset to the beginning of the dungeon, rather than the beginning of the overworld. Which is, it's a genuinely good mechanic. He also said there are other things that got changed, like a rebalance of the mana system, and maybe some changes to how XP is gained, so that grinding is less of a pain in the ass. Because I told you I had to grind 3 times during the game.
Right.
Once at the beginning of the game, just to be able to complete Death Mountain. Once in the middle of the game, I barely remember why I had to do that. There must have been like a boss I was having trouble with. And then at the very end of the game, you just have to get to max level so that you're not completely fucked over by the final dungeon, which everyone says is a pain in the ass.
It really is so interesting to hear about, like, especially these old NES games. Because the whole idea of, like, people making ROM hacks of stuff like this, just for, like, balancing minor issues. Because, like, the core game concept is fun, but it's just, like, some of these minute details that really make it infuriating. So I see stuff like this happening with, say, Dragon Quest. It usually ends up being a lot of RPGs that, you know, they're very long, so the idea of like having a reset in later stages is like completely unreasonable, or they'd have stuff where it's like, oh, there is like a 75% less chance of you running into like a random encounter, for example, and you get like more XP from each encounter you do.
I mean, like, I have to say that, like, just pure mechanics wise, Zelda 2 is a very innovative game. It's just not properly balanced. Like, okay, so this is on to my next point, right? This is also a problem in Zelda 1. But, like, I feel like a lot of the early Zelda games, up until Zelda 3, up until A Link to the Past, they lacked direction so badly.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, you literally just need to have the fucking NES guide open to know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah, if you don't have a Nintendo Power subscription, you can't play the game. You're bumbling around in the fucking forest. And in Zelda 1, that's not that bad. But in Zelda 2, every step you take, it's Pokemon logic, where you could accidentally just stumble upon a fucking enemy. Now, Zelda 2, unlike Pokemon, gives you the chance to run away, and sometimes you get some clutch-like moments where you manage to hit a path block, which means that enemies, they're not allowed to attack you when you're on a path.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a pain in the ass. Every 5 steps you take, 3 enemies spawn, and then you have to run away from them. Like, it punishes you for moving in a game that doesn't even tell you where the fuck to go.
Mm-hmm. So you just end up wasting a lot of time. One of the reasons I don't play like really old retro games like these from like the NES and sometimes the SNES era is the fact that like you do just kind of need a walkthrough to play it normally. Like you're expected to have the walkthrough.
No, I agree. I agree. A lot of NES games suffer from this problem. I just think that it sucks. So there's a video I watched twice, actually. I don't know why I watched it twice. I watched it the first time, and then I forgot some of the key points they made, so I watched it a second time. It's called The Chunk Base Problem, and it's a video about Minecraft. And the problem, they suppose, is that Minecraft is not a game that is supposed to require you to close the game to play it. It used to be that way. It used to be you had to look up crafting recipes. It used to be you had to look up where to find shit. But Mojang has been putting an immense amount of effort into making it so that everything you need to play Minecraft is in the game. So you don't need to go look up the Minecraft wiki. Except they haven't fixed one of the most core problems with the game, which is that every new structure or biome that they add is so fucking bullshit and impossible to find that you either have to waste 20 hours finding new content in your world, or you open up a website called Chunkbase, where if you just give it your world seed, it'll tell you where to go. And
okay.
Every single Minecraft player uses Chunkbase. Or not every single one, but like...
If you're really into Minecraft, it's a must. Mm-hmm.
To put it into perspective, there are servers where there's a rule banning Chunkbase, and yet players on those servers, and these are not like open servers, like to anyone can join them. I'm talking about like YouTube streamer servers. The amount of people that are allowed on maxes out at 10, and each and every single one of them is streaming to an entire audience. And they have been caught using Chunkbase even when it's against the rules, because Minecraft just does not actually feel fun if you don't use Chunkbase.
Yeah, for sure. And especially like if you're trying to get to that new content, which is like obviously probably the huge appeal if you're coming back to the game after a little while, and you just gotta like trudge through all the boring shit that you've already experienced and gone through. I
mean, like, when you open up Minecraft, usually the first thing you want to see is new content.
Yeah.
And Minecraft has been making so much new content, and it has made that content so difficult to find that if you don't know about Chunkbase, you probably lose interest in Minecraft way too quickly. Because you just get so bored finding nothing at all because you don't know where you're going.
Oh no, I've definitely been there many times when I still
Uh-huh.
had Minecraft, and I'd try and come back to it after any like huge update that releases.
Chunk base is the only reason Minecraft is playable. And what I've been arguing this entire time is that a lot of these early NES games are kind of built with the chunk base problem as their like basic structure. It's like
Yeah.
if instead of having the chunk base problem just be like a problem with Minecraft's design, it was as if they said, okay, we want to make sure the players have to have Nintendo Power or they can't play this game. Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 are just like that. Like, to put it into perspective, I remember at the very beginning, Dungeon 1 of Zelda 2, because I didn't know what the dungeon was going to look like, I got the main item from the I say item. I found the boss, and I defeated the boss, and I thought I was done with the dungeon. But I didn't get the dungeon item. And I didn't know that I didn't get the dungeon item because there was no way of me knowing that the dungeon had an item. It allowed you to just get to the boss automatically without getting the dungeon item. So you
That's
can...
just bad game design.
Yeah. I beat BoJack Horseman without getting the dungeon item, and then I went to Death Mountain, and I was wondering why I couldn't beat the enemies. Then I went and got the fucking dungeon item, and I came back to Death Mountain. And I still think even after getting the dungeon item, Death Mountain wasn't any easier. It was just that now I was able to progress.
Right,
Whereas
right.
before I couldn't. But yeah, no.
So, gosh, that I can only imagine what you were feeling throughout that process.
Dude.
You had to go all the way back.
If you go back and you look at the first Zelda 2 VOD, I think I titled it Getting Extremely Excited About Zelda 2 Only to Have My Hopes Dashed. Because the first 30 minutes to an hour, me and all of chat are actually fucking glazing Zelda 2 for all of its innovative game design. And then we hit like a wall, and we were all like, oh, I'm gonna have to do like 6 side quests before I'm allowed to continue the main mission.
Damn.
Zelda 2 is full of fucking random side quests that are essential to beating the game.
It does frustrate me that we could reasonably have lived in a world in which Zelda 2 just was a good game.
Yeah, we could have.
Or not even like was an awesome game that you probably would have really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
If it just wasn't for all those like small hangups.
Uh-huh. So, remember when I was talking about the magic system? And
Yeah,
how
yeah.
You have to, like, balance your magic? There are times when the game makes it clear that it was not built with managing your magic in mind for some reason. One of the worst times this happens is at the end of the final dungeon. The final boss of the final boss of the final dungeon, but not the final boss of the game. That's kind of important. The final boss of the final dungeon is literally invincible unless...
What?
The final boss of the final dungeon is literally invincible unless you use a magic spell on it, which wipes, I think, 75% of your mana bar.
So if you got to that point and you already like used some spells,
Then you can't fight the boss. You have to kill yourself.
wow.
That is how it works. Like, I can imagine someone finding the final boss, using heal because they want to have full health for the final boss, and then finding out that it is now physically impossible for them to damage the boss.
That's so fucked. And you weren't like warned about this ahead of time. You just
Nope.
kind of had to find out on your own.
You had to... I mean, like I said, the final dungeon respawns you at the beginning of the dungeon.
Yeah.
But the way they expect you to find this out is finding the final boss and then dying to it. And then I suppose you're supposed to read Nintendo Power to find
Yeah.
out which spell you're supposed to use. And then when you find out that you're supposed to use a really expensive spell, now you don't waste your magic. Like, I literally can't envision a world in which you're supposed to be able to figure out that the boss is invincible unless you use a spell, unless you read it from a wiki. Because you get the final spell right before the final dungeon, and you use it on a bunch of mob enemies, and find out that it's a screen wipe, which is awesome. But you also find out that it uses 75% of your mana. So you think to yourself, I'm not going to use that. Very often, it uses way too much fucking mana.
Right.
Maybe if you get to the final boss without fucking using any magic, which is literally just like, how the fuck did you do that? On your first run, unless you know that that's what the boss's mechanic is, you would probably use heal before the final boss because you just don't want to die to the final boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's fairly reasonable if you get into the final boss's room with more than 75% of your mana left, that you would use Thunder on it, just to test if the screen wipe works on it. And then it would be vulnerable. You'd be able to learn the mechanic that way. But it requires such a string of dominoes to fall down, because the act of getting to the final boss with 75% of your mana is itself something you have to plan around, and you would only plan around that if you knew how the final boss works.
Oh, so much trial and error.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when I... Like, the mana mechanic is pretty well implemented in the early stages of the game, but, like, I think within the last dungeon, definitely, maybe the last 2 or 3 dungeons, it's stupid. I'm thinking about, like, the bosses in Zelda 2, right? Because I've described this game as being pretty hard, but there are some times when it's way too easy. Which
With
is
the boss fights?
Oh yeah. I remember there's one of my VODs is titled The Duality of Zelda Bosses. And the reason for that is I finished 2 dungeons in the exact same stream. The first dungeon required me to bang my head against a wall for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then I get to the second dungeon, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna beat this boss before the stream ends, because, like, it's just... I've already spent, like, an hour on one boss. Turns out the way that you defeat the boss of the second dungeon that I played in that stream is you crouch... You crouch. That's how you beat the boss.
You just crouch.
You just crouch.
That's it.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
some of the Zelda 2 bosses are stupidly easy, or they're really fucking easy to cheese. I remember there was a boss which was referred to as the most difficult boss before the final dungeon, and I found, like, a super easy way to cheese it, and it, like, I beat it in, like, 3 tries.
Dang. What'd you have to do?
I think, if I remember correctly, there was a way that you could bounce on his head to avoid his attack, and then once he swung, you had a chance to just hit him in the head and kill him.
I see.
That might have been the case. I'd have to go back and check the VOD to be 100% sure of that. Like, there are bosses that, like, piss me the fuck off, like the Volvagia, and then there are bosses that were just, like, not even that big a deal. And that's my main problem, is... I mean, you have to play all of the dungeons in order, and I literally just described one of the dungeons gave me a huge fucking trouble, and then the next dungeon in line, which is supposed to be harder than the previous one, requires you to crouch and do nothing the entire time.
absolutely goof. It's just so silly. Like, I mean, I guess it's good that they throw in like some low balls for you to do in comparison to some of the really just insane difficulty bosses. But still, I mean.
Alright. I think the last thing that I have to say about Zelda 2 that I really didn't like is the fact that you don't get dungeon maps in Zelda 2.
Right, that makes sense.
That becomes...
everything's all different.
That becomes such a big fucking problem towards the end of the game. The final dungeon is fucking ginormous. Hold on. I might even be able to post an image to DMs, and then I'll be able to show it on stream. But,
does it look like a Metroid level?
Holy shit. It kind of does look like a Metroid level. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, it's sorry, I'm in the wrong folder. Once you see this, you're gonna be so fucking shocked. Because it's crazy. I actually have a picture of the final dungeon for Zelda 2. Oh shit, where is it? Dude, please. Oh, what the fuck? Hold on. Okay. I'll find it, but while I'm finding it, I'll talk about this. So the final dungeon is huge. Like, it's really fucking big. And because you have no dungeon map, finding the final boss is just a huge pain in the ass. There are lava pits everywhere, and there are so many dead ends. This isn't even just a problem with the, like, baseline Dungeon 7. Like, this starts to become a problem probably around Dungeon 4, where you're constantly running on, like, fucking winding paths that lead nowhere. But, like, it becomes such a big problem once you get to Dungeon 7 that, like... I told you that the final boss of Dungeon 7 is invincible unless you have enough magic.
Right.
And finding the final boss of Dungeon 7 is such a pain in the ass that you're guaranteed to have to use magic before you reach it. I imagine finding the final boss for the first time when you enter Dungeon 7 should probably take you 2 hours. And then you realize that he's invincible. And so you read your fucking Nintendo power, figure out how to beat him. And now you have to, like, remember every room you've been in and route how to get to him faster. As fast as possible. Because if you don't get to him as fast as possible, you will not have enough magic to beat him.
Right.
Oh
gosh.
Okay, I found the image. But the problem is it's a paint.net file, which means I need to export it as a PNG.
Imagine being the first Japanese kid in the 80s to play this game. You probably didn't have a very good time. It probably sucked. Or maybe you had a good time because that's just what every video game was back then. But,
Oh shit, where's the button? There it is. There's the button. Why is that over there? That doesn't make sense. But that's fine.
It's interesting because I'd wager that the concept of, like, beating video games for, like, most people that play video games was probably a very foreign concept back then. Like the amount of time sink and knowledge in order to beat, like, a Mario or a Metroid or a Zelda is so significant that you were probably the outlier.
Yeah, I showed you, Annie, the dungeon map for Dungeon 7, and then I also pulled it up on stream. To put into
Jeez.
yeah, which of these rooms was the boss room again? It was this one, wasn't it? Yes. Okay. So this little blue pedestal, that is where you fight the final boss. And this is the entire... You can see the blue pedestal... Hold on. You can't even see it because of my big fat fucking head. If I just move myself, you'll be able to see how small that pedestal becomes. This is the pedestal we're talking about, right here.
This is absurd.
Do you see how small the pedestal becomes? This is Dungeon 7 of Zelda 2. Keep in mind, you have to navigate this entire thing before you find out that the final boss is invincible.
Uh-huh.
And then you have to navigate it again, but this time without using magic.
So, no matter what, if you're playing this game for the first time without any, like, prior knowledge, you are probably going to be running through this thing for many hours, even after you get to the end of it.
Hope, you bring up the fact that the final dungeon of Zelda 1 was even bigger. And Zelda 1 has a lot of problems that Zelda 2 has. But one thing that it doesn't do is that Ganon is not invincible. Because by the time you found your way to Ganon, you've already found the silver arrows, guaranteed. I really don't think that you can miss them, because I'm pretty sure they're directly on the path to Ganon. So, like... by the time you reach Ganon, you can just kill him. Why in Zelda 2 do they not allow you to kill the boss? Why do you have to die first and then come back with, like, a completely different fucking game strategy? Ugh.
They're very missable.
Okay, I'm not going to defend Zelda 1, because I do think Zelda 1 is also a pretty bad game. But Zelda 2 is worse than Zelda 1.
That much seems very evident. I mean, like, this is just mean in game design.
No, and the thing is, the other dungeons, they're not this bad, but they look similar. There are so many loops and dead ends in the other dungeons. Most of the gameplay loop is just figuring out where the fuck you are. And by the way, Hope, one of the main things that I literally said when I started this most recent part of the rant was that Zelda 2 doesn't have dungeon maps. Zelda 1 had dungeon maps, so you could tell what fucking rooms you've been to, and it had compasses, so you could tell where you needed to go.
This is just a Metroidvania. Oh my gosh.
Zelda 1 allows you to see where you've been, and where you need to go, and what you need to grab before you beat the final boss. Zelda 2 just fucking throws you into the woods and expects you to find your way home.
You just do it. Easy.
Anyway, that is probably the last major complaint that I have about Zelda 2. I think that this game could be so much better than Zelda 1 if they managed to balance the magic mechanic and they added dungeon maps. And pretty much that's about it. I think most of everything else would be fine left as it is. I still will complain about Death Mountain at the beginning of the game. They should have put that later in the game, not at the very fucking beginning. But, like, at the very least, if you balance the, like, magic, balance the fighting, and then just add dungeon maps, it becomes a perfectly playable game.
I think it would be so cool if you did end up playing one of these Zelda 2 ROM hacks at some point in the future. I know you beat Zelda 2 like kind of recently, so maybe give it a while. But absolutely,
it was not recently. That was mid 2023.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
yeah, because you did Ocarina of Time, and then you're still on Majora's Mask. Well, 2 games ago. To me, that's kind of recent, but yeah, I guess that was a while ago. Man, We're an hour in, and we're only one game.
That is the reason why I suggested we do 5 games each, because of the fact that I had a feeling that we were going to end up just talking a bunch about random bullshit, or that maybe our reviews of the games would go on a bit long.
This was a very thorough breakdown of Zelda 2.
Yeah,
I'm honestly kind of impressed.
I
I don't
literally-
think I'm gonna go through my games in
Oh
the
my
same
God.
manner, unfortunately.
Shush,
But
shush, 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 you stupid YouTube. Of course I'm still watching. But yeah, no. I agree. I brought up almost every single point about the things I dislike about Zelda 2. Like, everything bad about Zelda 2 was covered.
fair enough. All right. So, are we back? Are we to me now?
Yes. You get to talk
Okay.
about your game.
Perea, can you pull up Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate?
Okay. Oh, I spelled Arkham wrong. There we go. Batman Arkham Which of these images do... Oh, this looks like a good one. You like that image, Annie?
Oh, I gotta wait a little bit. The stream is
Oh.
delayed. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is the game. It's this one right here. All right. So, first criticism. Why didn't he just call the Justice League? Is he stupid?
Okay. That is extremely fair, but I do think that there was a retcon where they said the Justice League didn't exist yet.
Well, okay. To be fair, this is the origins. Like, this is the most early point in the timeline. There's
I have to
probably
move
no
myself
Justice
back
League
up.
at this point.
I forgot that I moved myself down for that last Zelda bit.
Yeah, you're still just gone.
There we go. There we go. Hey guys, I'm back now.
Hello. I think the Justice League shows up at around, like, the first Arkham game, which takes place in, like, 2008 or something. Like, the first one that gets released. But, on to actual criticism. Perea, did you watch any of my streams with this?
With
You tuned
Batman
into, like,
Blackgate? I think I tuned into one of them. I think
this was the 2D Batman game I played.
Oh.
Like, yeah, it was 3D, and it's kind of like a side-scroller beat 'em up.
I see. I don't remember seeing you play a 2D Batman game.
Because so this was last year. This was after I came out of COVID, and while I had COVID, I played a shit ton of Batman Arkham Origins, which is, like, you know, the actual real Batman game. It's 3D, open worlds, 3D fighting, all that jazz. Just pretty normal, but pretty good Batman game.
Yeah, okay.
This is like a fixation of yours. I bring it up because it's fresh on my mind. And specifically, it's fresh on my mind because I played it kind of recently, and it's just like, it's got so many things about it that I don't like. And I'll get into it. So, the main mission statements of Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate is that it was, I think, originally a 3DS game that then got a PSP Vita re-release. So it was meant for handhelds that later got a PC port, which I played and then streamed. Now, maybe all of these problems are kind of given a pass under the provision that it is just a 3DS game, but playing it on PC, I can excuse the kind of, like, poor graphics and textures. That doesn't bother me all that much. But the thing it tries to do is it tries to port all of the console gameplay elements into, like, a 2D handheld format. And what ends up happening is the combat and inputs in particular are abysmal. And one of the main reasons for this is that this game was, I think, produced by a third party. Normally, all the Arkham games are produced by Rocksteady. This was done by a slightly different company. So they just kind of lift all of the gameplay elements, button inputs, but there's considerable lag and delay for nearly everything you do. Batman takes forever to do anything. If you want to move, if you want to try and block someone's attack, if you want to punch someone, he will spend at least 3 years and 7 business days winding up to do and performing that act, which would be fine if the game was a lot more slower paced, but it acts like the AI still acts like you're playing a console Batman Arkham Origins game. They will take plenty of cheap shots at you that you are just completely weak against. You can't do anything against them. This was the only Batman game that I got my ass beat so hard in because the sheer level of inputs and delay and lag is awful. It makes the game kind of miserable to play. And this is also one of those games where anytime you're doing a sneaking segment, and you get caught and then you get shot at, you can maybe take 1 or 2 bullets before dying, and there's really not much you can do about that. So there was plenty of points in my playthrough of this where I died due to complete BS. And I'm comfortable saying that because I'm normally really good at these games when they're on console.
Yeah.
But what else do we have for this? Aside from everything being clunky, this is absolutely just a game that does not need to exist like on the timeline in any significant manner, right? Because the whole point with Batman Arkham Origins was, oh, okay, this is the origin of Batman. He's been active for a year. He's very early in his career, still like young and angry and bitter. And his main conflict this time is meeting the Jonkler for the first time and contending with that. And it's very interesting.
I've heard this game that game is based heavily on the what's it called? The Long Halloween.
Some elements are based on the Long Halloween. I don't think there's like a full game adaptation of the Long Halloween, but
it's just
a lot of these games end up being a mishmash of different comics.
The Long Halloween, I've heard, is a very interesting comic to adapt because it's the moment that crime in Gotham went from being like organized mafia hits to supervillains.
No, okay, that's actually a really good comparison. You're absolutely 100% on the ball because with Arkham Origins, that game, you're starting out like dealing with a bunch of mobsters essentially, and then the Joker gets introduced and kind of like upturns everything else, and that's what Batman's having to contend with this time. The Long Halloween actually got like an animated adaptation, I think a year or 2 ago, and it's pretty good. And I liked it so much that I went back and read the actual sequel comic, which is called Dark Victory, and that's what like introduces Robin in the current continuity. So very, very good storylines. This has nothing to do with that, unfortunately. I don't think there's much of a comic basis for anything that this game has to offer. It doesn't have anything new. It's not like, oh, I'm fighting Joker for the first time, or oh, I'm dealing with any villains for the first time. It's just, there's a prison break, you gotta go deal with it. The only significant new lore thing for this game is that you meet Catwoman for the first time, and she's kind of hot. That's it. It just establishes... Yeah, it just establishes that he meets Catwoman and they kind of work together sometime. Nothing more.
Okay, that's all that it has to offer.
Yeah, this game is completely skippable if you are wanting to play through like this entire franchise. I got it just because I'm a completionist, but I beat it the first time and I have not looked back since.
Yeah, I see.
Pretty forgettable in almost every conceivable way.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. So, what was it you said about the gameplay? That it controlled like a console game, but enemies attacked like a PC game? Was that what you said?
Oh, no. Oh, okay. So this game was made for handhelds, right? It was made for
handheld, sorry.
originally.
Handheld. Yeah.
Now,
okay.
the original Arkham Asylum game, it's like a 3D open world, like beat 'em up, right? And it's like a character action game, kind of like Devil May Cry, where like response time and combos and counters are really important, and how quickly
Yeah.
you do them is very important.
Uh-huh.
And I guess to make that gameplay work on
A handheld?
on a 3DS of all
Okay,
things,
yeah.
which had just significantly less hardware capabilities. They had to just kind of lower the inputs and introduce like a lot of animation wind up for you to do what you want to do.
Uh-huh.
And because they just lift that concept and slap it into a 3DS, it is very slow and the combat is almost unplayable oftentimes. You take a lot of hits that you were prepared to counter and to answer for, but Batman is just so fucking slow that he gets hit a lot.
Uh-huh.
So it's many instances where it's just BS
Okay.
kind of happening.
I asked for clarification because I was grabbing water while that happened. I can hear you while I'm grabbing water, but because I was like multitasking, I was like I couldn't hear everything that you said. So I was just kind of like trying to remember what you said. So your main problem is that the controls are so clunky, and lore-wise it has nothing to offer. So it's just an easy skip for a lot of different reasons.
The only interesting and semi-redeemable thing about this game is that it has, because it's not like a full open world Batman game where you get to like kind of fly around a town or like a whole asylum and freely explore it. What they let you do instead is the entirety of the Blackgate prison that you spend the entire game inside has this sort of Metroidvania sort of game design in it, which it's neat in the sense that you need like new quest items to explore new parts of the prison, and there's lots of backtracking and hidden features and secrets and stuff. And that's like it. That's like the only kind of neat thing for this game that I enjoyed and kind of respected is like, oh, a Metroidvania Batman should be like the coolest idea ever.
It sounds
it
like
just
it would
isn't.
be cool, but it's
just disappointing. It's mid. Like you might have some fun if you pick it up and play it, but it's not going to be nearly as memorable if you were to play any other Batman Arkham game. And that's that. I don't really have much else for this.
Well, I talked for probably 30 minutes about Zelda 2, and you talked for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna be the bigger woman here and let you have another turn if you'd like.
Okay, alright. I've got another one lined up just for you. Alright. Perea, I need you to search up Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
I do have to do this. Excuse me, why is that not... Oh! That's why. Star Wars Knights of the Old Order?
Of the Old Republic.
Oh, Old Republic.
Yeah. I should clarify this by saying that for almost all of these games I talk about, I do like them, right? Like, I'm not, like, being a hater, or I don't think, like, these games are irredeemable. Star Wars The Old Republic is important for a lot of reasons, and I like it also for a lot of reasons, but I also have so much beef with this game.
This was the official picture on the Nintendo eShop for this game.
Look at how silly this is.
Hold on, this was actually straight up on. It said, yeah, this is from Nintendo.com.
Thank you, Nintendo. Oh, and this was such a good screenshot because this level that they're in right here is like gonna be 95% of the reason why I dislike this game.
Okay, good. We got it. We did a good.
You found the appropriate image.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though I said I had a lot of love for this game and I have a lot of beef with it, I will say and outwardly admit that a lot of this is kind of personal because I distinctly remember when I was like 4 or 5 years old and my dad took me to Blockbuster to rent a game. And I looked on the little shelf and I'm like, holy crap, Star Wars, the game.
Oh yeah.
This is the coolest thing ever. I love Jedis and lightsabers and all of that. I can swing my sword and chop up a bunch of robots and shit. That's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, that's what the Lego games are designed around, except they're also actually good, from what I understand.
And my dad looks at this and he's like, oh, he thinks it's cool too. He loves Star Wars. We both love Star Wars. We grab it, we rent it, we bring it home, and we play it, and we're introduced to, like, a character creation screen for the first time with stats and shit, and we need to like roll our constitution, and this was my first ever exposure to a role-playing game, and this was probably also my dad's first ever exposure to a role-playing game. Where you have to make a character from scratch with stats, and we have no idea what we're doing, and I'm like, Dad, I want to play as a Jedi or some shit, and it's like, there is no Jedi option. You can't play as a Jedi at the start of this game.
Oh God, I am already feeling so bad for you. This is like a huge problem with fucking like getting games. As a parent, is like, unless you yourself are a gamer, you don't know what to expect when getting a game. And
well, like, he's played games before.
Well, no,
like he loves action games is the thing.
That's what I mean. Is like when you're buying a game, you do not know what to expect unless you look up a fucking review or a gameplay guide.
And this was like 2005. There was like maybe 2 websites you could go to figure anything about this game. But more or less, that was just not something you did. You weren't like looking up reviews. So we just like looked at the cover, looked at the back, thought it was cool, and we're like, all right, we're gonna play this weekend.
Yeah, because I can totally imagine that the game devs they came up with like a really interesting and complex reason why they would lock Jedi behind game progression. Or just, like, exclude it entirely. But if you're, like, a 7-year-old and you just want to play as Luke Skywalker, and you get a role-playing Star Wars game that won't even let you pick Jedi, that fucking sucks.
Now,
wow.
What I'm kind of realizing in real time as I'm going back through this is a lot of my criticisms I had when I was 5 are still my criticisms when I'm 26. And I'll get a little bit more into it. So I'm just going to continue my little POV from this story right here. So me and my dad are trying to like play this game, and we're making our first ever role-playing character together and trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. After a little while, I think he like finally settles on like, okay, we're just gonna make like a soldier type character. Fuck it, whatever. Guns. We get guns. And it launches us into this extremely long and boring tutorial sequence. Your character wakes up with amnesia, and your ship is like being attacked by Sith, and like Mr. Tutorial guy runs in and he's like, hey, you're finally awake. We need you to do combat tutorials, and we need to teach you how to open doors and storage compartments so you can grab items. And again, none of us here have played role-playing games, and none of us here have engaged with dialogue options in games. So we're trying to like figure out how we're supposed to talk to this fucking dude.
Okay.
And after like 30 minutes, we finally figure out how to talk to a guy. We figure out how to get dressed, open a door with lockpicking, and then we're like, okay, cool. We're done with all this boring shit. We can play the game now. and the little Sith character comes up with their cool ass lightsaber, and you're like, hell yeah, fuck, I get to shoot a Sith dude. And then you're like ready your gun, and the game freezes, and you're like, what the fuck is happening now? I want to hit the guy real hard with my gun. And that's when we're introduced to turn-based combat for the first time.
Okay.
Now, despite the fact that this was either of our first exposure to turn-based combat, real-time with pause turn-based combat. So it's one of those things where like you can just let the game go, and if you don't have any inputs in, you just kind of die. So you have to like plan out at least 3 different turns in advance.
Okay.
The combat system, even for like RPGs, and as an RPG fan who has played many of them, it still sucks. It's abysmal. I hate real-time with pause combat. It should have just been like a standard Final Fantasy turn-based kind of situation. So after all of that shit of trying to figure out combat in this really boring and drawn-out sequence, we finally like crash our ship and finish the tutorial, and we're back to just talking with the dudes again for like another 45 minutes and running around this stupid little town that you see here.
Yeah, okay.
Get a good look at this screenshot. You're gonna be looking at this if you're playing this game for the first time. You're gonna be looking at this for at least 3+ hours as you're stuck here trying to figure out like where all your party members are. You're trying to figure out how to get off this stupid planet. In order to get off this stupid planet, you need to do... It's one of those things where you have one big quest. In order to achieve that big main quest, you have to do like 3 different small side quests.
Oh.
So getting to the end of this little phase of the game takes freaking forever. You're doing fetch quests, you're having to meet new people. And you're like, oh, I have this key item you need, but you need to do a quest for me in order for me to let you have it, kind of situation.
Yeah.
And after you do that like 5 freaking times, you finally leave, and you're like, God damn it. Okay, now we're done with all this boring intro shit. I've got my character, who's not a Jedi still, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, don't let
okay.
them fucking forget that they took that from you.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, we're like a level 3 soldier. We have a full party. We've done like 1 or 2 bosses on this little introductory planet, and like, okay, fuck it, we can get to the real game now after this. So after you leave, after you steal a ship and you leave the planet, and you're trying to like, I don't know, connect with like the fucking good guy Jedi army or whatever and let them know you're safe, you realize that you have force powers. And it's like, oh shit, you were secretly a Jedi the whole time. Isn't that cool? Well, it's not cool. Because you gotta do more tutorial shit.
Oh, like, now it's time for the Jedi tutorial.
It's time for the Jedi tutorial shit, which sucks doubly so, because that means no matter what you fucking do, your character has to be a Jedi from this point onwards, and you are now a multi-class character. So, your main character, you will not ever get to max level, because if you got to like level 3 as a standard soldier or a thief or whatever during that little introductory phase, the most you will ever achieve by the end of the game as a Jedi, you will maybe get to level 17. You cannot min-max your character in the slightest. So you spend an entire second or tertiary introduction phase to all your Jedi abilities, so you can learn how to use the Force, you can learn how to use your Jedi main characters in your party. You're going on all this exposition and shit in like a very mundane planet where there's not a whole lot of conflict happening. You're just doing a lot of random encounters and kind of grinding as you're learning your new classes effectively. Until you get to the end of that, in which case, you finally get to start the actual rest of the game. And everything gets a lot better. It opens up. You get your own little choice of planets you can go visit and quests you can do. And it's just such a good and fun game for like nearly everything after that. After like the first freaking 12 hours you sink into Knights of the Old Republic, you can then begin the process of having fun. And that, I think, is probably my biggest sin. It's the biggest sin this game commits for me. Because even coming back to it as an adult, it is still equally as unenjoyable as it was when I was 5. Frozen Perea, yeah. I run the show now. It's me.
Hello. I'm back now.
Hello, Perea.
I was trying to pay attention to what you were saying, but I also got a knock on my door. That's why I got frozen.
Oh no, that's all good.
Okay.
Did you miss out on a bunch?
The last thing I heard was the beginning of the Jedi tutorial.
Okay, so you get the Jedi tutorial, and you get a Jedi tutorial planet where there's no mass conflict happening. So it is just you running around, doing a bunch of random encounters and fetch quests, so you can learn your Jedi abilities. And at that point afterwards, does the game finally open up and actually begin, because you get your choice of planets you can go to and you can kind of surf around, and then it becomes just an actual Star Wars role-playing game. You get your own little spaceship, you get to do all your cool Jedi quests. It only happens like 12 hours in. So,
yeah, okay. They say for modern games that you should get 60 hours of content out of them, but I don't think that it counts if you spend 12 hours in the tutorial.
It's just awful. It is just awful. There is no reason it should have been dragged out that long. And I swear to God, if they just made it to where you could select Jedi from the get-go, you would erase like 80% of the problems. You could just cut out this entire first planet you need to go to. You could cut out the little tutorial sequence on the little spaceship, and you can just have the beginning of the game. You're starting on the little Jedi planet as you're learning your little Jedi training, and have all the important information and setup. And then once you're done with that, you can just play the game as normal and have fun. Yeah, but then the story wouldn't make sense. I feel like you could rewrite things enough to where you would not be missing out on a bunch. Because if we're getting into like spoilers here, the reason that you're force sensitive and that you have the ability to be a Jedi is because you were already a Jedi the entire time. Your mind just got erased.
Oh, okay.
That's really it. Like, there's no reason for you to be an entirely different class whatsoever, because in canon, in lore, you just already were a Jedi and you already know how to use the lightsaber. Like, you could have just started off on that planet. It would be fine. You would not be missing a lot of important story content.
This was your first role-playing / character creation game, Annie, right?
Yes.
I love the idea that you had to load up like Skyrim for the first time and then be like, oh, this is like that shitty Star Wars game. Like when you got to the character creation screen.
Well, like, Skyrim's fun, because, like,
No.
5 minutes in, you're already, like, hitting people, and it's fun.
No, I'm not saying it's... I'm saying that, like, you get PTSD every time you see a character creation screen now. Like, when you load up Elden Ring, the fact that you have to create a character, it's just like, oh, I gotta do this shit again. Yeah! Dude.
It's so funny, too, because I remember, like, when I was 5 and playing this for the first time, I got so freaking bored that, like, I just kind of stopped paying attention or caring like
Uh-huh.
at this moment of the game, like where this screenshot is.
Yeah.
And I think my dad kept playing it because like by the time Sunday rolled around, he had like made it to like the second planet, and then this is by the time we had to like take it back up to Blockbuster, and it was like, yeah, this game is boring.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Oh my gosh, that was such a harrowing tale.
It was pretty bad. I don't remember the next role-playing game I played after this. Because it probably would have been a while. I might not have touched role-playing games like since Toontown, maybe. Like massively multiplayer RPGs. So like Pirates Online.
Yeah, very different, I'd say.
There's still character creation.
There
but,
is.
Eh,
It's a bit different.
that's maybe the closest I get.
Okay.
I feel bad because it was when Annie was 5. D20 RPGs with pause combat is... I would have thrown the Xbox out of the window. Yes, and I will have even more to talk about D20 real-time with pause games coming up soon. I have a particular beef with that, and it might have started from this game, giving me trauma when I was 5. But... I think that concludes all my beef with Star Wars: The Old Republic.
All right, you basically hit your 30-minute. What the hell? Oh, I was still tabbed into OBS. You hit your 30-minute quota, which means I now have to take up the mantle of. I have to click on YouTube every once in a while just to remind it that I'm still here. I have decided that since you talked about a particular childhood trauma of your own, Annie, it's about time that I bring up childhood game that I had a bad time with.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Let's talk about Spray, the game for the Wii.
Spray? What is this?
This is fucking shovelware.
What is this garbage?
It's so... Dude, it's so bad. Oh my god.
Oh no. For real.
I did not realize... When my parents first told me that they would try to get a... Wii for... Or sorry, when they said they were trying to get me a game console, they asked me which I would prefer. The Xbox or the Wii. And at the time, because the Wii was what everyone at school was talking about, I figured that it must be the better console.
Right.
And so I asked for the Wii, and I got the Wii. I still think that was a good decision, but at the time, I did not know what shovelware was, because this was my first console ever. And holy shit, most of the games that I ended up getting for the Wii throughout its life cycle ended up being shovelware.
Yeah.
And this was probably the worst example. I don't even remember how I got this game. I don't know if it was like a grandparent or an aunt or my parents who bought it, but they used to just like go to Best Buy and look for whatever Wii game was cheapest. And so obviously with the Wii, you'd get shovelware.
Oh, there was so much of it.
Yeah, so the thing about Spray specifically is that it goes beyond just normal shovelware. It's like basic concept was wild. To put it into perspective, so like there's a kingdom on a floating island somewhere. It lives in prosperous peace and whatever the fuck until one day shadow monsters attack. Hold on, I might be able to show you what the shadow people look like.
Yeah, please do.
This might be an image of the shadow people. Okay, yeah. This is a really low image, but this is like darkness, and this is what the dark villains look like. And the thing about that is there are only 2 ways to attack dark creatures in this game. Let me switch over to the other image. Number 1 is you can use this little water spirit to spray water at them, right?
Okay.
And that works in a lot of contexts. But if you were a little bit on the weirder side, if you were like, water, that's like too milquetoast for me, you can ask this little fucking demonic ball to simply vomit on your enemies. And like, you can see it in this screenshot up here. They have vomit selected, and he just pukes on your enemies.
Oh,
and
that's gross.
When you spray water, you spray like just like pure blue water, and then the black puddles are replaced by like white, or sorry, not white, blue water. But when you choose vomit, you get this like reddish brown liquid that just it sticks around whenever you spray it on people. And
That's so gross.
It's I was like fucking so surprised when I was told, yes, now vomit on the enemies. And it was like, what? Dude, it's like, I think there might have been a third one. I don't know if I ever unlocked it or not, because legitimately, this game is just like broken. Like, I don't mean like it's buggy. I mean, they shipped a beta version of the game instead of finishing it.
Oh no.
The game is so broken and so full of bugs that I think they left in a dev mechanic which allows you to use a button sequence on the Wii remote to simply reset the level. Usually those types of things, like debug modes and shit like that, they get taken out before shipping because they're not needed. But this is a fucking beta. They shipped a beta of the game. And so they had to leave all the dev tools in so that you could debug it while you were playing it.
Oh my god!
I don't
not even cheat codes, just debug mode.
Because there are no cheats in this game. If the only obstacles, like genuine obstacles that aren't like super easy to defeat, are the bugs. And
so give me an example of like some bugs you might run into.
I think there are certain places that you can just get straight up soft lock really easily.
Uh-huh.
And the only way out of that, I think, is to reset the level. The thing is, as a child, I didn't know how to open, like, the debug menu or whatever it is.
Well, yeah.
And so, whenever I got stuck, I just fucking closed the game and then, like, restarted it. I think it had a save mechanic, so... But the thing is, the save mechanic always started you at the beginning of the level with 0 progress. And that's the reason why I don't even think I finished the second level of this game. Like,
it was just that bad.
It starts you off in the kingdom level, where the sole focus is just, there's like a wave of enemies that you have to like defeat. And then once you get rid of all of the shadow darkness that's on the ground and stuff, you get tossed into the second level, which is, I think, in a sewer. And I tried to do everything in that sewer, but I never figured out how to finish that level. And so, eventually, before I just simply threw the game in the back of my fucking closet and then never looked at it again, I just ended up seeing what I could vomit on and what effect that would have on the world. I went around spraying everything with water and then spraying everything with vomit. The cool thing about water is that it cleans vomit. So that's nice. That's a nice little mechanic. But yeah, no, it's literally just a completely buggy mess of a game where the premise is that you either choose to wash your enemies until they're dead, or vomit on them if you're fucking weird. And it's so bad that I don't even know how to play it. I couldn't get to level 3 if I tried.
This reminds me a lot of, do you remember, like, Epic Mickey?
Oh, yes.
Like,
I do
very
remember
similar
that.
concept, right? Except
Yeah.
for, like, Pokemon, you have just a paintbrush that shoots different colors.
I do think that it's probably a pretty similar concept. This is like the very shitty bargain bin version of Epic Mickey.
Yeah. These graphics, it looks like an awful Fable game. Oh my god.
I would love to show this game on stream, because I can't finish the second. You know what? The last time I played this game, I was fucking 10 years old. I might be intelligent enough to be able to beat it now. It just wouldn't be fun. I can't imagine it has more than 5 levels because of how poorly designed the game is.
I would love to watch you play this. I'll just say that.
I'll see if I can figure out what this game was. Because as soon as I realized that I couldn't even beat the second level because it was so weird and esoteric, I just stopped playing it. I never loaded it in my Wii again. I still own a physical copy of this game. Because I just, like, I threw it in a shelf somewhere, and then when I started moving around, for some reason I always ended up bringing the game disc with me. I
never got rid of it.
I can see it sitting over there, my copy of Spray. I still
You
haven't...
should pass this down as like a family
oh my
heirloom.
god, the worst game, the worst shovelware Wii game in existence.
Here, I give you your great-great-grandmother's copy of Spray for the Nintendo Wii.
Oh my fucking god. Dude. Okay, so there's a story that is really funny, where there was a Christmas where I opened my gifts, and almost always when I would open gifts on Christmas from like extended relatives, it would just be clothes.
Yeah.
So I could usually tell when like a box was just a Kohl's box wrapped in gift paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was opening like box after box with the exact same shape and design. I knew they were all just clothes. And then I got to a small gift, and I was like, huh, this one's not the shape and size of a Kohl's box. And when I opened it, it was Twilight Princess for the Wii. And I remember when I found that out, my initial reaction was just, oh, this is like actually cool. And I said that out loud in front of everybody. And there was a bit of a tense reaction throughout the room. But I think after describing the usual Wii games that I used to get on Christmas, you can understand why I thought Twilight Princess was actually cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank God, it's not bad this time.
So, wait, did you get Twilight Princess after you got this?
I think I got Spray first, yeah.
Okay. So that really was a huge shocker, just like a huge leap in quality.
Oh
holy
my God,
shit,
this
Twilight
is a
Princess.
good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, the only games I could really play because of the fact that like they were the only good games that I owned was my Wii came with Ninja Reflexes and Wii Sports, and so Wii Sports. I played Wii Sports and Ninja Reflexes a lot, and then I think we got Rock Band at one point, which was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But it was a huge purchase because it came with all the kits, like, you know, the drums and the guitar and stuff.
It's super cumbersome, yeah.
But yeah, no, we were able to play some good games, but then there was just a bunch of shovelware games that I remember getting Spray. I remember getting the Pixar movie Up the Game. Have you ever played Up the Game?
What the hell are you doing in Up the video game?
Okay, maybe I'll talk about Up the Game next.
Okay, alright. Fair enough.
Because that's a completely different game. Oh my god. But yeah, no, like, there was the games that came with my Wii, most of them were good. The games that were all shovelware, I got that for like 3 Christmases in a row. And then I got Twilight Princess, and I don't think I got a Wii game after Twilight Princess, because legitimately at that point, I was... Oh my god, you know what else? I got the Chronicles of Narnia tie-in Wii video game.
Oh my god!
Tell you what, I'm gonna talk about Up and Chronicles of Narnia, because those fucking games... Holy shit.
Man, I miss bad tie-in games. Those were silly. That was a silly time.
But yeah, no, Twilight Princess was the one of the last Wii games I ever got, and that's fine, because after I got Twilight Princess, I don't think I touched any of my other Wii games. Because I was like, this is the game that I'm playing now.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think I had that many Wii games. Because, like, we didn't get a whole lot of shovelware. We stuck to, like, ones we, like, knew we loved, which ended up being, like, maybe 6-ish games, and that was our entire library for a while. It was Wii Sports, it was House of the Dead, Resident Evil 4, and then, like, Twilight Princess. That was, like, our mainline Nintendo game we got. And that was it. I had, like, a buddy that I'd always, like, spend time with who also had a Wii, but, like, just a huge stack of shovelware Wii games that we play every now and then. It was a lot of, like... It was a lot of party games, right? That was one of the big ones. Games, like, trying to be Wii Sports. And then it was a lot of, like, point-and-shoot games, or light gun games.
Yeah, okay.
They were not that fun, but gosh, the Wii was definitely something special.
Well, I there's not enough game in Spray for me to talk about this more than I already have.
All right,
even if
back to me.
Even if I completed Spray, I feel like I'd have one extra line to say. It's just not a game. I think. It was a beta test that got shipped on a fucking CD or DVD.
That is special. Like, I'm trying to think, like, how many people could have possibly played Spray for the Wii?
Okay, Annie, I do not watch the Game Grumps, but they did a deep dive where they did a full playthrough of Spray back in 2021, and I didn't watch it. Because I didn't want to re-expose myself to that trauma. But when I saw that they played it, I was like, how did they even fucking find Spray? And why did they reopen this wound for me?
And now that you've exposed me to it, it'll never leave my soul. I'm just gonna have Spray as a part of my permanent memory from now on.
I fucking hate this game. I might play it on stream one time.
That would be fucking awesome. I'd absolutely have to champion you for that.
All right. Tell me the title of your next game and we'll get started.
Okay. So I don't think I have a whole lot to say, as much to say about this one than I do with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. But small hint, it's the same fucking company that did Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
All right. This game that I have for you, coming up next, is Baldur's Gate. It is the first Baldur's Gate. Now, this is maybe a little bit of a controversial one, because this is, along with Knights of the Old Republic, these two games are one of BioWare's, like, greatest. That, like, a lot of the old heads really love. And to be fair, this game right here kind of helped make Dungeons and Dragons a household name, not just in the tabletop land, but, like, in video games. There were Dungeons and Dragons video games for, like, the past decade leading up to this, but this was the first, like, really good widestream appeal sort of game. Like, you might know, like, if you're around in 98, 99, when this released, you might have known people who had copies of this kind of situation, even if you weren't a huge D&D fan. Now, the unfortunate thing is, this also it is just a full conversion of Dungeons and Dragons. So anytime you try to attack someone, the game is like computing a like D20 dice roll to calculate whether or not you hit someone, or whether or not damage is dealt, or whether or not you get poisoned, so on and so forth. Pretty much everything you do, there is a dice roll. Which, if you were playing tabletop Dungeons and Dragons with your buddy, who maybe doesn't have a super intricate grasp on the rules, or if you got like some shitty and unfair rolls, like if you rolled a 1 like 3 times in a row, you'd have you'd have a dungeon master that'd maybe be willing to give you some grace and be like, all right, whatever. We just want to keep this game going. I'm not gonna frickin' murder your character. That's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I'll let you re-roll or something. Now, because this game, your dungeon master is an unforgiving computer, you are expected to abide by every single rule of advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Every dice roll, every stat, every class, mechanic, feature. If you fuck up a single thing about your character, you will face the consequences for that decision 10 plus hours in. Like, you will not even realize that you fucked up so royally before it's too late, and after you've invested a shit ton of time, energy, and resources into your character builds. Now, another thing is, because of how unforgiving all the dice rolls are, and because of how everything is subjected to chance, you can die as soon as the first combat encounter, and you will struggle with that first combat encounter for potentially hours. Because what happens is, after you do your fun little introductory sequence where you make your character, you talk with some people, you do like some basic quests, and like, oh no, your mentor character gets killed and you have to set off on your own little adventure now. The first screen afterwards, where you're just kind of in the wilderness, you run into like 2 dogs, 2 wolves, and you have like maybe 2 or 3 party members by this point. Now, your first party member is a thief who has very low HP, and maybe the other character, if you have another character, they're probably some sort of spellcaster, meaning they're also incredibly weak. Now, if you were a stupid fucking entity, and you foolishly thought this game had any grace for you, and you thought, oh, I want to be a cool little silly druid because I get to select my class and I get to make my character however I want. Well, fuck you, because that means you have 2 casters, all with low HP, and you have 1 thief with low HP and low defense, with no armor, no good weapons. You get fucking creamed on like the first screen. You pretty much have to be like a human fighter who is lawful good. If you're playing the game any other way, at least for your first playthrough, you're gonna have one of the worst times imaginable. And that's not even a guarantee. If you're just playing a standard warrior, dude, you can still completely fuck up and you can die to 2 basic wolves.
Oh yeah. Dude, this is like the opposite of the problem with the other game. Where with the other game, it was like you don't have the option to pick Jedi. Just play the game forehead for 12 hours, right?
Yeah.
In this one, it's like you have all the options in the world, but only one of them is correct.
Yeah, like, if you are playing any other class that's like support, you're expected to have beaten the game by this point and really know the system and know what you're doing to be able to survive even basic encounters.
That's fucking evil. A D&D game where you don't get to actually pick your character. Like, oh my fucking god, that's so
if you wanted to
heinous.
play as like your silly like ooh-woo OC character, fuck you. No.
Oh my fucking
You're gonna
god,
have a
that's
bad time.
horrible.
you need to really carefully consider your character creation process and your party dynamic. Now, the really fun thing is you have an incomplete party starting out. You have maybe 1 or like 2 party members if you're playing normally. Now, you can technically make like a full 6 character setup from the get-go. They're all like original characters. They don't have dialogue. They're just like NPCs that you kind of travel around with.
Yeah.
Normally, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to like get your companions throughout the main storyline. And if you're doing that, you start out the game with like maybe 3 people max. Now, considering the very unlikely scenario that you have 3 characters, you've just started the game, and you somehow didn't die to the 2 wolves starting out, and you go to the next screen, you will encounter 2 other party members. And you're like, cool, I'll take literally any help I could get.
Yeah.
Please, oh god.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know for sure. I know that one of them is a spellcaster. I think the other one might be another thief. So, you still have very poor odds of any sort of survivability because you likely don't have any fighters in your party yet. You don't have any warriors with like swords that can do basic defense. But you're like, fuck it, whatever. I might survive an extra minute longer with additional numbers. You bring them on, and you're like, okay, we're having a fun time. You bring more party members on after that, and by that point, you will have like a full party. You'll have like a 4-6 people in your group, and you can take on pretty much whatever.
Okay.
Now, if you progress a few screens after that, you will learn about the alignment system in this game that has very clear importance, especially in regards to your party dynamics. You see, because those 2 people you picked up originally, like after you fought those wolves, those are chaotic and lawful evil characters.
Yeah, okay.
Which, if you're the PC, you can, even if you're a good character, I think you can still bring them on and it won't cause much issue. Except, the characters you bring on after that are both lawful good, and they will agree to initially enter your party. However, after like 2 or 3 screens, maybe if you like spend a night camping together, they will be at each other's throats, and they will just on a dot at some random point begin murdering the other party members.
Oh, okay. That's really bad design. To be like, yeah, if the characters have 2 different personalities, they'll be at each other's throats. By the way, your tutorial characters, everybody fucking hates them.
These are the first characters you get in your party. This is still maybe like 30 to 45 minutes into your first playthrough.
And the worst part is that if you don't pick up those characters because they're too toxic, then the first encounter with wolves will kill you. There's nothing you can do about
you
it.
Have to, you're incentivized to bring on just anyone.
Stupid.
Because you want a full party.
That's bad.
So that's the beginning of Baldur's Gate. Now, I'm gonna let you in on this. I managed to beat Baldur's Gate not on easy difficulty, because easy difficulty is still extremely hard. No, I beat it on story mode. I.e., you can't die ever.
Oh.
You just have God mode.
Okay.
That was the only way I could play this game past that point, roughly. Past, like, the first early hours. Because this game is so grueling.
Okay, yeah. This is like the playing D&D, but your fucking racist uncle is the DM. Like, that's what that feels like.
Like, if I were to go to, like, any game shop, if I were to go to, like, any, like, group in the early 20s who love D&D 5th edition, they love making their OCs and being, like, I don't know, tieflings or whatever, tiefling bards, and I were to, like, asked them to play this game, they would be reduced to tears in moments.
I see. I see.
Dude, it's just such a different game and such a different dynamic. The way that you're expected to abide by all of these rules without any sort of consideration or grace is insane. Like, any normal DM would not put you through this campaign if they like had any shred of empathy in their heart.
if they cared, if they were your actual friend, if they like loved you, they would not even approach this campaign with a 10-foot pole.
That is it, precisely it. Yeah, no. Like,
okay.
This is just not what D&D is anymore. And you can see that too, because like, why do people like Baldur's Gate 3? Oh, because you can play as your silly little ooh-woo OCs. You can do whatever the fuck you want in Baldur's Gate 3. You can fuck everyone you want in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Those are like, that's the appeal of the game.
Yeah.
It's just so starkly different. And that's, in those opening screens, that outlies almost all of my criticisms of Baldur's Gate. There's like maybe more I could get into, but like, this is what you have to contend with every other minute, potentially. And having that on your mind and having to deal with all this bullshit is simply too much to gauge much enjoyment out of it.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it'd be hard to enjoy a D&D campaign that's that fucking ruthless.
And you know me, I love D&D.
Yeah,
D&D is
yeah.
awesome. It's one of my favorate things.
This is
I
the
do
worst
not like
D&D
Baldur's
game.
Gate.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Anything else you wanted to say about this?
No, this is a warning. Don't play this.
Oh my fucking god. All right. Did you want to talk about one other game? Because you do have a lot of games that you can get through.
Sure, I can give you another kind of quick one. All right. Perea, I need you to pull up Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
Oh, I didn't even realize I could zoom into that image. Okay. I'm going to do COD Black Ops 3. This is the image. Everyone uses this image when they're talking about COD. Oh, why is it so
it became
tiny?
like a meme, right?
Give me the big version of that image. Okay, maybe that's... Yeah, that's kind of funny. Look at him. That's your man. That's Mr. COD. The COD guy.
John COD.
Yeah.
This pic does go hard.
It is
I
a
don't
pretty
care what
good
anyone
image,
says.
actually.
It's pretty cool.
No,
looking.
I'll admit.
This game gets nowhere near close to this cover image, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
And I will tell you why.
Should I pick an image that's more representative of the game?
Oh no, leave it
Okay,
on because
okay.
I like it. It's
Okay.
just neat.
All right.
Okay. So I guess I should give you a little bit of my background with Call of Duty as just like a concept, as a franchise. I guess most people here that would ever watch this and who know me probably don't know me for liking many Call of Duty games, and I've probably been known for levying very heavy and likely valid critiques on the game. Obviously, it's like American insectualism, all that jazz. Is kind of like a generic multiplayer running gun shooter, and it is absolutely all of those things. Now, the one saving grace with Call of Duty is that the campaigns, like the story modes, the single players, they are surprisingly really well thought out. They have a lot of polish put into them. They have a lot of good writing, depth, intrigue. The actual game design is pretty fun. And that's what made early Call of Duty like so exciting and why people bought it so much. And this is back when it was still like a World War II shooter. And I think I have Call of Duty World at War, which was like one of the last versions of it like doing World War II, and that's also the one that adds in the zombies mode and all of that.
Yeah.
It's still like a really good game. I love it. A few years ago, I got like a free copy of Modern Warfare 2, which I think came right after World at War. And yeah, it was just a really good single player experience. I didn't bother with multiplayer whatsoever. Now, I got this because, hey, JoJo wanted to play it. And I was like, all right, sure. But I'll play it, you know, because I like JoJo. And I do like COD Zombies. And supposedly, this is the Call of Duty game if you like the zombies mode. Like, if that's all you care about, you want to get Black Ops 3.
That is, when I looked at this, when I looked up Black Ops 3, the first thing that came up was like 3 results for zombies.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I think one of the reasons why it's so good is at the point it was released, it had every zombies map.
Okay.
Like, it had fucking all of them plus more from the previous games, all the DLCs. Like, there was just a lot you could mess with here. And to its credit, the zombies mode is extremely fun. I could play it for hours and hours and hours, both single player and in co-op. I think zombies mode is very fun. I have no dislike for the zombies mode in Black Ops 3. My dislike is solely in the single player. Now, if you know anything about the Black Ops series, the first Black Ops game is set in like the 60s, right? It's supposed to be about the Cold War. This was when Call of Duty was breaking away from World War II shooters and like Modern Warfare. And like, okay, this is about like the cool spy shit that like the CIA and FBI get up to.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It's the first Call of Duty Black Ops was kind of meant as a sequel to World at War. It's got like similar characters. It ties up threads. It's interesting insofar as it's like an actual sequel and not just like a full kind of like rebooting of a concept. I have no idea what Black Ops 2 is. I completely forget. But this game has virtually no connection to the other two games. Black Ops 3 is significant because it takes most of its inspiration from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. That's the one that has Kevin Spacey in it, and that's the one that introduces the concept of the exosuits. So this was like the first like futuristic Call of Duty game that adds in like all these fun little like concepts with drones and whatnot. Now, it's supposed to take place, I think, either right before or right after Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, because if you look at the guy, he's got like a more slicked out version of the exosuit, meaning this takes place in the future and it is another Call of Duty about future warfare. Which is neat. You're fighting a lot of robots, drones, some enemy soldiers. Your character does get the cool little exosuit and it's neat.
Yeah.
And it does one of those things where you don't have a main character per se. Their main character is like your little OC that you create in a little character creator. So I did my best to recreate like, I don't know, Fed Angela as best as I could.
This is my OC, but if they were a CIA agent.
Literally, yeah. I don't know if I took any screenshots, but there is Fed Angela somewhere.
I'm sorry. I heard the actual Zelda's theme.
Oh, did you make the little pog
awesome.
face?
Yeah, I did. I went, oh! Oh! you can see Perea Pog now because I'm actually I'm streaming. I'm the streamer. I can Pog all I want. Look.
It's over. I've depicted you as the soy jack and me as the Chad.
Okay, that's enough Perea Pog.
So no more Perea Pog. But
get your screenshots now.
I get your screenshot.
make the clip and then let it be over with.
Let's see. Okay, so we're still on the advanced warfare elements. It's
Uh-huh.
cool. It's kind of boring. Like, it doesn't do much with the concepts beyond just like introducing them and having you fight. Like, you're fighting robots instead of people now for some levels. Like, it's just, it has no sauce whatsoever. I didn't even like my main girly all that much. The really shitty thing is I like really tried to like this game because this was still at a point in my life where I just kind of assumed that all Call of Duty games were bad. And I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
have this. I'm gonna like
Yeah.
try and enjoy it as much as I can. Very boring. None of the characters are interesting. None of them are memorable. None of the concepts they go over with envisioning like a science fiction sort of future in terms of like how that relates to warfare is very underwhelming. And the fucking twist at the end is your little OC character dies in the first mission.
Oh.
Actually.
Okay.
You just you get your limbs torn off and you die.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Now, that happens at the end of the first mission, and the second mission is like, oh, we can rebuild her with our latest new exoskeleton technology.
All right.
You got all these cool like robot limbs, and you got like a cool little Neuralink and all of that, and that's
Yeah.
like when it introduces all the new gameplay elements, and you're going on all these Black Ops missions.
Yeah.
No, you just died. That's your death dream. You died in the first mission as like this standard like soldier grunt, and you get torn to shreds by this little robot creature, and that's it. Like the whole thing was that like you're on the deathbed and you're having your death dream because they tried to turn you into a little robot lady and they installed the Neuralink on your brain. And that's what the rest of the game is. It's your Neuralink trying to give you your, like, fulfilling death dream.
You're telling me this game is the literal fucking interpretation of every one of the shittiest dream theories?
It is the Ash is in a coma for the entirety of Pokemon.
God. Dude, the reason those theories suck so much is because they fundamentally misunderstand the concept of suspending your disbelief. So they made a COD game set in the future, and then they were like, that's dumb. The future isn't real yet. There's no future. we live in the present, guys.
That is the whole fucking thing. It's just all imaginary. The only like real science fiction concept was the Neuralink getting implanted into your character as they're dying.
That's so dumb. Oh my.
So nothing
God.
that happens in this game matters. None of it is canon. It is functionally just a side game. Has nothing to do with Black Ops. Has nothing to do with Advanced Warfare. Just completely pointless.
That is the lamest fucking thing I've ever heard. That is so like lending credence to the fucking ashes in a coma theory is actually a war crime.
And it sucks so much because I brought up Call of Duty World at War earlier, which was like one of the last World War II ones that had like a full Soviet campaign and shit. And that had that really awesome cutscene where you're the guy that throws up like the Soviet flag in that famous picture at the end.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, you get to be that guy.
Wait, that's actually an interesting concept.
And this is after like you wake up, your whole squad's wiped out, and you're like behind enemy lines, and it's just you, some old, real grizzled Russian sniper guy, kind of showing you the ropes of warfare as you're taking out a bunch of these Nazis, like full stealth style. And like, yeah, you just don't get anything like that in this game. It is so disappointing.
Yeah, no, that's insanely disappointing.
But yeah, I say that there are very good Call of Duty games. There are very good Call of Duty campaigns. This is not one of them.
Well,
Also, I did try the multiplayer for this, just for fun, you know, just because I had it and I was bored one night. I guess this came out after Overwatch, because you don't have like this standard, you drop into the match and you're just like some standard grunt guy with a gun. No, you're like a hero with a class. So I had to pick one of the stupid little like heroes. There's one that has a drone. There's one that has like, I don't know, 2 revolvers maybe. There's one that has a bow and arrow, and I played his little bow and arrow one. 2015. Okay, it's the same year as Overwatch. I don't know if
it's like they're way closer than I thought they were gonna be. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, so Black Ops 3 came out a little bit beforehand.
No, but it was so little. Like, the distance was so minuscule that it makes me think maybe Overwatch stole the idea from Black Ops.
Yeah, I guess it would have, right? Because it kind of introduced the idea of hero shooters. It's a weird blend of just like
That's
a
insane.
standard FPS multiplayer with hero shooter elements.
I was
like,
going-
it very much made me think of Overwatch.
Yeah. I was going to say that there's no way that they were even close, but they were very close. I genuinely have reason to believe that Black Ops 3 did inspire Overwatch.
That is kind of gnarly to think that it was sort of a pioneer in that respect.
Uh-huh.
But it might have just been because I got in on the multiplayer so late that there were hardly any players online and I couldn't get many matches.
Uh-huh.
But the gameplay was just pretty mid.
Yeah.
That wraps up my journey into
Yeah.
Black Ops 3.
Well, that really is something. That entire everything. All right. So we have 2 options for what I talk about next, Annie. You brought up some of the most silliest, goofiest Wii games that I have in my possession. But at the same time, I was also gonna talk about one of the worst games I've ever played, Anonymous Agony.
Okay. Well, let's save the Wii games for the end.
Okay.
How about that?
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Because I do want to hear about Anonymous Agony, especially after Wayne got in
Yeah.
on that.
Anonymous-
it just keeps on coming back.
Holy shit. No, it's genuinely one of the worst games that has ever been made. I forgot the why. Completely. Oh, I forgot they made a second one. Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
this I have to pull up these 2 images because this duality is just fucking insane. This image being the cover art for Anonymous Agony, and this being what the actual fucking gameplay looks like. It's like night and day, dude. Oh, hold on, no, this is a much better, because not only do you get the picture of Hayes smiling, but you also get like all of the other fucking characters and how dumb they look. Holy shit. Just look at this.
Stupid.
This is Anonymous Agony. Oh my fucking god.
Is that an actual sprite?
Yes, that is
That's
genuine.
not an edit?
No, that's what he looks like when he smiles.
That's so bad. He's got this fucking yaoi face.
He's... Oh my fucking god, I hate Hayes. I hate him so fucking much.
Why does his chin look like a freaking kitchen knife?
Oh my god. I hate this fucking game. With a passion.
Wait, why is it? Oh, rated E for Edge. Okay, alright.
Rated
I
E.
gotcha.
No, that tells you everything you need to know about this game. That's the type of joke that they think would be funny, is rated E for Edge.
Alright, well, give me the rundown of this game.
Okay. The
Right.
premise of Anonymous Agony is that Hayes, our main character, is the edgiest boy. Like,
Okay.
literally, okay, I need visual aids, so I'm going to constantly be switching back to Google.
Sure.
Hold on, please, okay, so where is, there's an image of Hayes that I really, really want to show you guys. Oh my fucking god. It's gotta be here somewhere. It's such a silly image. I might be able to pull it up because I had to download this game. So I can literally just go grab the images from the original, like, Steam install. Oh god, I'm not seeing it. Okay, hold on. This will be very important. I'm going to go find these images. Where would they be? I think I put them in this folder. Oh, I have to scroll all the way back to when we played this game. Or I can just use the search function. Oh yeah, the search function worked immense. Oh, why am I looking in this folder? I'm supposed to be looking in the other folder. My bad. That was entirely my fault. Now it's as easy as... You know what? Fuck. Okay. That's entirely my fault. Okay. Now if I just grab the images, wherever those are. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh, I'm so silly stupid. Okay. I put it in a subfolder. I'm so sorry about all of this, guys.
Unforgivable.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely the worst showing from me. I really I feel entirely horrible about everything that I'm doing to you guys right now. Okay, where was that subfolder then? I feel like an idiot.
Was it right in front of you the whole time?
It's not that it was right in front of me the whole time. It's that I should know where to find these images, but I am just, like, blanking on where they... I have all of these images. Okay. Last resort, I literally have the game downloaded on Steam, so I can just go check my fucking Steam folder. Okay, that would be in my C drive under the programs files. Right? Yes, it is. It is the case. And then I have to do installed apps. Yeah, Steam apps. Common? Anonymous Agony. And then I grab graphics. And then... Yeah, okay. Please, I just want the silliest, goofiest image.
Oh, no.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is all of the images. But where is the one image that makes me laugh my ass off every time I fucking see it? Trust me, guys, it's gonna be worth it once I show you the image. I hope, I think. It'll be really funny.
I'm weighted with bated breath.
Oh my fucking god, I found it.
Oh.
Okay, alright. We are ready to go. So now, all I need to do is just... I need to set it up so that this can be streamed. I think if I do this, and I set it to that, yes, okay. And then if I do that, okay. So now, ideally that wouldn't be that fucking big. Jesus Christ, why is that so big?
Oh.
Okay, now I just set it up like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Okay, so this is not the image I wanted to show you. I wanted to set it up so that I could roll through these. At the start of the game, I'm so sorry this took so long to set up. At the start of the game, Hayes, our main character, is a boy who, he's super fucking edgy. Hold on. This image is a better image to show how fucking edgy he is. This is Hayes. This is what he looks like. Oh my fucking god, I forgot I'm stupid.
Is that just a real photo of a brick wall?
Oh my gosh. No, I think it's an image.
Like someone drew that brick wall.
Sorry, I said image and not drawing. Yeah, hold on. We can zoom in on this brick wall right now.
I'm pretty sure that's dead ass just a real actual brick wall.
There's a chance. There's a real chance that it looks like it has. I don't know about the contours. They look a little too. It could be that it's just so heavily pixelated, but I don't know. Okay, hold on. No. I think I can see a Photoshop layer which has like a consistent line through it. Like this. There was an effect added to this brick wall in Photoshop. What could be the case is the fact that this is a regular brick wall that was too clean and nice, so they took it into Photoshop and added a filter over it, and then they put it
they added like cracks and stuff onto it.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Yeah, I think that's what happened here.
Oh no.
But yeah, no. So Hayes is our main character. He is the edgiest boy in the world. His main characteristics are that he loves screaming at every authority figure in his life and being super fucking edgy just all the time. He's always do you see how his necklace is a biohazard symbol? That's because his emotional turmoil is like all fucked up, kind of like a biohazard, right?
His existence is toxic.
Yes. Oh my fucking god. He's so stupid. He's just this super annoying character. And the thing is, this game has voice acting. And Hayes' voice...
Yeah, I heard some of it.
Hayes' voice... It's grating on the ears, if I remember correctly. I fucking despise it. And the only notable characteristic about Hayes is the fact that he hates everyone except his little sister. And so, like, when it comes to his parents, he's constantly fucking yelling and screaming at them. He calls them fat and ugly. When it comes to his teachers, he's constantly, like, breaking shit, maybe physically harming them. When it comes to the police, he gets really indignant with them. The only reason he's not meaner, I assume, is because of the fact that he would get shot. Probably.
What a character.
He's
What a man.
horrible. I hate everything about him. But, you know, he has a good relationship with his sister. And he's really nice to her. He's very sweet to her. She's the only person in the entire world that he's super sweet to. But the sad story, Annie, that this happens too many times in our disgusting society. She went on AOL, his little sister did, and she talked to an adult man on AOL. I don't know if you know about this, Annie, but there are strangers on the internet that want to do bad things to you.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stranger danger?
Yep. Even on
Whoa.
the internet.
Even on the...
You wouldn't download a stranger. Now, would you?
I would download a Pariah.
Okay.
So fast.
It's perfectly fine to download a Pariah, but you shouldn't download a stranger. But
Okay.
apparently Hayes didn't tell his little sister about that, because she downloads a stranger, and that stranger ends up being a pedophile. So there's this really graphic scene where she invites this guy that she met on AOL inside her house, and then he rapes her, and he leaves her literally bloodied on the floor. And it's really fucking shitty, because after that happens, like, Hayes was already one of the worst people in the fucking world, right? Like, everything about Hayes already sucked. But now, this edgy teenager who just wants to hurt people because he's got the worst personality imaginable, now he has a reason to do it. Like, this is the type of teenager that, like, walked around with a metal baseball bat just asking people to give him a reason to hit them. And suddenly he discovers that there are bad people in the world. And so he's like, I can kill these people and no one will care. And so he starts this crusade where he actively targets a group of people that no one would defend, solely so he can fuel his, like, sadistic tendencies and his just, like, fundamental desire to murder people and to torture them. And so you watch Hayes as he is just one of the most insufferable, disgusting, obviously psychotic pieces of shit, and no one calls him on it because he's, at the end of the day, he's only killing pedophiles.
Yeah.
And, like, he is such a reprehensible person in every imaginable way. This entire game is just torture porn. The entire, like, it's based around the concept that you just are also on his side about all of this. And so, like, there is this scene that is a really good scene, not because it's actually well written or anything, but rather it's an easy scene to point to explain to people why Hayes is such a reprehensible person. Hayes goes around murdering pedophiles, and if you convince yourself for 5 seconds that he's doing it because he cares about children and not because he's a murderous fucking psychopath, there's a scene where Girl Scouts come to his door, and he opens the door and starts screaming profanities at them and causing them to run away. Now, I want to say he doesn't do it out of anger, but he very clearly is, like, really super hyped up and happy about, like, killing pedophiles. And so, like, these little Girl Scouts are like, I don't fucking know what you're talking about. Do you want to buy cookies? And he's like, hell no! Get the fuck out! And then he closes the door on them. And it's just, it's this perfect moment to show that when faced with actual children, Hayes doesn't give a single shit. He just wants to find a group of people that he's allowed to murder without having to be at all worried about, like, the moral implications of that.
Oh, right. It's just pure self-fulfillment.
It's sadism. It's just a
Yeah.
game about, hey, to all the sadists of the world that just want to hurt people, there are people that you can hurt and no one will call you on it. Go out and do that.
That's the lesson to be learned from this.
It's just like, it's torture porn designed to encourage you to torture people. Because it just believes that torturing people is fun and cool so long as you do it to the right people.
Everything about this just makes me feel... It gives me the ick. I feel like I need to take a shower after this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ugh.
Yeah, okay, so these are images of Hayes after his this is him at... You can see, this is a scene that I swear to God happens moments after his little sister is raped. And do you see how he's smiling while holding the gun?
He's just like, finally, I have an excuse
He
to
does
be
not.
fucking crazy.
He does not fucking care about anyone else except for himself. He's happy that he finally has an excuse. This is not about defending or protecting anyone. He just wanted an excuse.
He has the mentality of like fucking boomers walking into like Walmarts with their fucking like M16 rifles slung over their shoulders.
Oh yeah, this is also just what the game looks like. It's an RPG Maker game, but it's not even particularly well made.
Yeah, the graphic design is so
Yeah,
bland.
it's horrible.
Like, you're gonna have this kind of subject matter in a game that looks like this, and I'm supposed to take it seriously?
Yeah, no, yeah, fair enough. Dude, fucking look at his schnoz there. They put so much shadow on it. That's a thing that they do with a lot of this, is they, like, really accentuate the shadows and the shading.
You're not really supposed to shade with black unless you really know what you're doing from a design perspective, because otherwise it looks...
Uh-huh.
I guess it's
Is this-
supposed
hold
to
on.
look kind of jarring and creepy and weird, but like,
Is this also shell shading? Or...
Oh, it has
yeah.
cell shading with
Yeah,
it, yeah.
Yeah, it's cell shaded. Okay, down here though, it's a little bit less cell shaded and more gradient.
It's just very hard light,
Yeah.
hard lines
Oh, yeah,
that make
this-
it kind of eerie looking.
This is a picture of Hayes' dad. This guy is not a good person, but it's obvious that they tried to make him super fucking annoying, specifically so that Hayes could call him a fat ass and yell at him, and you wouldn't feel like he was being an edgy teenager about it. Like,
What is this shit-eating grin?
I mean, obviously Hayes very much inherited that, because look at him. Like, holy shit. The apple does not fall far from the tree. I'm just looking through for more of those images that of Hayes being super fucking gross and edgy. There are a lot of images of him, like, holding bats and hitting people, if you go far enough. Oh yeah, this is a picture of... That's a little graphic, so I'm not going to zoom in. This is a picture of his first victim. And this is what he does to the dead body afterwards. This is a bad fucking game. I think everything about it is bad. It's just reprehensible all the way through.
Man, this is so, like, DeviantArt
Oh no,
tier.
what made Hayes sad? Did he kill too many pedophiles and now he's having to deal with the moral implications of murdering people? That would
Aw,
suck.
poor baby.
Oh no, when you get arrested for committing multiple acts of fucking serial murder? Dude, they don't get it. These people were bad. They deserved to die. Oh my fucking god. This game sucks. Oh, I didn't even remember that he choked out his own dad. Oh, why did the art style change? Why does he look like that now? Who is that? He has nothing to do with this guy. You see what I mean?
Oh gosh! What? Who is this?
Who?
What
That
is
is.
this supposed to be?
Like, look at this image of Hayes sitting next to a police officer, and then this image of what I assume is also Hayes? Maybe it's not
He's
Hayes.
like a baby here.
No, it is.
Like, what's happening?
Wait, it has to be him. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's torturing another person. Yeah, no, I'm done with this game. It's bad. It sucks. We don't like anonymous agony. Oh my fucking god, dude. I think I talked about everything that I found so... Oh, no. Okay, I'm done talking about how reprehensible this game is. It's time to move on to how, like, unfun the gameplay is.
Uh-huh.
Just, okay. Holy shit, this game. It's like, the tutorial... I want to start this off by saying that at the beginning of the game, before you even get to play the game, you have to watch a 30-minute, if I remember correctly, long cutscene at the beginning of the game, which is just exposition. And then when you get dropped into the game, it's like... It's effectively like a walk... I think it might be a tutorial segment? No, I wouldn't even call it that. Maybe it is. Okay, maybe it is. It's just like this, like, weird thing where the whole point is to walk around hitting checkpoints. And the important thing is, we realized after trying to just walk around and do as many things as we could, we tried to go home and go to sleep. You can't do that. Because it turns out Hayes refuses to go to sleep unless you see everything that you're supposed to see. So when we found out that we spent an hour walking around just looking at stuff, but we didn't look at the right things, we spent another hour just trying to find what we missed, which ended up being this just like an hour where nothing happened because we'd already seen all of the important scenes except for one of them. So we had to spend a full hour just tracking down the last scene.
That's the worst! I hate that!
And then...
And you just gotta figure it out?
You just have to walk everywhere. You just have to, like, cover every square inch of the world until you get an event to trigger, and then you go try your bet again to see if it'll allow you to skip to the next day.
No, that's too bad. Oh, God.
I also...
What the hell?
Two of the major game mechanics are, one, walking around town grabbing people's AOL accounts, so that basically so that you can just talk to them on AOL. And
what fucking year is this?
I don't...
AOL?
This was definitely not... like... This was... Okay, the thing is, given when this game was released, it could be that it was supposed to be Skype, but when I looked at it, it didn't remind me of Skype.
Like, did this come out around the same time, like, To Catch a Predator was getting popular?
Yeah, probably. Let me check the release of Anonymous Agony, because it was very recent, I would say. Yeah, this came out in 2019.
Whoa. 2019?
Yeah.
You're getting people's, like, email addresses for Skype? People weren't even using Skype that much.
Where does it say the 2019 date? Because... here it is. Release date 2019. Yeah, no. I own this game on Steam because Fluffy made me get it.
This is one of those games that you, like, hide from in your library.
Yeah. This is...
It's shame of having it is too great.
After we finally figured out what scene we were missing from day one, we finally managed to get to day 2. But playing around in day 2, we eventually just got so fucking bored out of our minds and confused as to what to do that we just couldn't keep going. And that's when the stream stopped. But one thing that we didn't really do all that much of is one of the main mini-games is looking on AOL for pedophiles to murder. And then just pretending to be a 6-year-old girl so that you can lure them in.
Man, it just... I hate this trend of like, I don't know, the predator hunters on the
Yeah.
fucking internet. They're obviously like not murdering people,
Hey,
but
Fluffy.
doing this weird sort of like bait and shit. And
Yeah.
oh, it's done in like the worst way. I hate it.
There's a fucking Cheeto in
There's
the
a
White
fucking
House?
Cheeto
What
in the
are
White House.
Really? Oh my god.
A fucking There's a goddamn Cheeto in the White House.
What happened? How did we let a Cheeto into the White House?
Why is there a Cheeto in the White House?
Dude.
Why'd they let him in there?
Okay, honest question, Annie. After everything that I told you about Anonymous Agony, do you think that Donald Trump or Hayes would be a better president?
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest with this one. Hayes would probably do more harm. Because Hayes genuinely just wants to hurt people. That's his, like, only goal.
Yeah, that's abysmal. Both of these are awful. I
Yeah.
hate both of them. I don't
I-
want either of them to be
Yeah.
president.
No, fair enough.
Oh, man. Also, thank you, Fluffy. That did make me happy. There's a goddamn Cheeto in the White House.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty much said because I went through as much gameplay as I think I'm willing to talk about, and I explained the story in depth. One of the worst fucking games ever made. Just atrocious. And look at that shit-eating grin. Also, look at how fucking fundamentally different his sister looks compared to him. She looks like she was
I love
drawn
her
in a
smug
different
grin.
fucking
I love her
style.
smirk. It's so cute.
Oh, what the hell?
Spiritually, I'm this expression of her on any given day. That's the mood.
That's good. That's good. All right.
Just leave it on that.
Oh my fucking god. Oh yeah, here, let me make sure that doesn't disappear suddenly on us. Alright. I talked about Anonymous Agony for a pretty long time. Do you want to talk about anything else, Annie?
Sure. Man, gosh, coming off of that game, what do I have? Okay, alright. I can yap about this one for a little bit. This is one of the first games I ever had on Steam for a while. The first time I played this must have been around 2013 or 2014. The first Steam game I ever had was, I think, the Tomb Raider Anniversary Edition, and I got this right afterwards, probably. So this game is called Velvet Assassin. It's a stealth game set in World War II, and you're playing as this kind of like really cool looking, emotionally detached girl as she's going on her missions for like the British Army, basically. It's got a kind of cool style. I like the main girl.
No, I accidentally clicked save as. That's a bit small. I like it when they were. I usually try to get the long images. Oh, this is a good. Well,
yeah, a good banner
it's a bit
image.
Small though. 800 by 400.
This is fine. You can see it well enough.
Yeah, it's better than the 400 one. We'll go ahead and we'll just roll with it. Oh, it's so small though. Here, I'll zoom in. There we go. There we go.
They weren't lying when they said assassin. I mean, yeah, they don't. There's definitely some points I'll maybe bring up about the level of sex appeal on display because it is somewhat prominent. Interesting for a World War II assassin game, but the gameplay is very similar to something like Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid. The whole point is you're sneaking around and you're killing like Nazi generals.
Colonel. Trying to sneak around. But the clap of my ass cheeks is always alerting the guards. What does he specifically say?
Uh, yeah, no, I think he does say it like that.
Metal Gear.
That segues into my first critique.
Oh,
actually,
okay. Thank
now
you.
that I
Oh, wow.
think about it.
That dumb bit was actually important.
The clap of your ass cheeks does not have an effect per se, but obviously you're sneaking around a shit ton, right? And you're usually crouched down. The problem is, when you're crouched down, you are slow as fuck. You are like 25% of your walking speed anytime you're crouching down. Now, the problem is, anytime you want to kill someone, you have to crouch down and get behind them. Anytime you want to sneak around and like not have anyone hear your footsteps, you gotta crouch around. So you're spending a lot of time crouching, and you are very slow. And the thing is, the NPCs, like the soldiers, their base walking speed is a fair chunk faster than your crouch walking speed.
Okay.
So good luck trying to sneak up on anyone to like stab them in the back. You have to wait until they stop, and then by that point, you only have like a really small window until they turn around and then see you. At which point, good luck trying to run away, because if you get spotted, everyone knows who you are, where you are, and you only need to get shot like a few times for you to just die. Very, very not fun. There are a lot of things about this game that are just really broken. The speed being one of them. I distinctly remember I had to like fuck around in the INI files of this game to bring my my crouch walking speed to an acceptable level, because it's virtually unplayable as it is. So if you have this on an Xbox 360 or something, it's just, you're done. You can't enjoy this game. You have to kind of mod it and fuck with it to bring it to a base functioning state. Very awful. Like, but the thing is, once I raised that like crouch walking speed, it was pretty good. Like the AI, one of the only big problems is that they spot you way too quickly, and you do not have a whole lot of resistance against that. And they can probably spot you through cover and shit, which makes it really annoying. But other than that, if you're willing to fuck with the INI files just a little bit, you can bring this game to a functioning base point. Now, what else is there? Oh, this game, it's another coma dream.
Oh my god, again?
It's another fucking coma dream.
How many games are just dream theory?
It is full-on dream theory. Now, it is not as bad as Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was, because the entire setup from Velvet Assassin is that you're in a coma, and it's this girl in the bed, and her coma dream is her reminiscing on all of her previous missions, basically.
Yeah.
She got terribly injured in like her most recent mission, and she's reliving them all over again. Which leads actually into one of the more interesting gameplay elements. So, because you're experiencing this girl's dream memories of all of her previous missions, one thing you can do actually is you'll have this special ability that unlocks. I think it's like morphine. I think if you pick up morphine in the game world and you use it, you will actually be lucid for a little while. Like you'll be rewriting the dream as it's happening in real time. And what this means in gameplay is you basically get a free insta-kill on a person.
Okay,
so if you get spotted and they start shooting you, you can shoot up morphine and you'll pause time, it'll go into like bullet time, and then you can just stab a guy instantly for a free kill.
I wish that regular drugs just did that.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's like, oh no, I hear the coppers, and then they just like snort some fentanyl, and they just gain the ability to stop time.
The really interesting little addition to this is while you're in like the dream morphine mode running around, you're in lingerie. So that's cool.
Okay, yeah. we love the sexualization of women in video games.
It's not even that like I dislike it. It's just such a kind of weird addition because this game does otherwise take itself very seriously. But yeah, they do sexualize the main girl in not like super gratuitous ways, but obviously that's kind of one of the like strange elements. One thing that I do kind of like about this game and its main character is that she does go through multiple different fits throughout the levels, depending on like what she's doing. This current image we have, I think, is the first outfit we see her in, and she's just in kind of this standard bomber jacket. I think because she like parachutes in, like she's being a paratrooper in that first mission. And she kind of keeps it throughout the rest of the game, but she's also got like this really cool biker leather fit suit. She's got like a nighttime sneaking suit. She's got a like disguise outfit she wears. Really cool. Like,
yeah. Okay.
One of my favorite things is I do just like the design and look of this main girl and think she's neat. She does not have much of a personality, which is kind of sad, but maybe leads into some of the story elements because she is just so emotionally withdrawn that she has zero qualms about going to one of her comrades and just fucking murdering them because they've neglected to take their cyanide pill.
Yeah, okay.
What else is there? Okay. So obviously, because the entire game she's like stuck in a bed and she's like going through her little coma dream. The last level is, of course, her waking up in lingerie, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Going out of her bed and just immediately like gunning down a bunch of Nazis. And mind you, this is like all a stealth game up to this point, but that final mission is just, oh, here's a machine gun, go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun. It kind of plays out like some Wolfenstein level, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought of.
And it's pretty cool, except for like the tail end of it, where she's like, oh, I have to save this town that I've been in this entire time. And she just doesn't. I think it's implied that she just gets overwhelmed by sheer force of numbers and the entire town burns down and she just kind of dies off screen, I guess.
Okay.
And that's it. That's just how the game leaves you off. It's so kind of just, I don't want to say bittersweet, it's just kind of a downer. You have such a fun final level and it just kind of meh. It peters out towards the end. Isn't that just Wolfenstein? Is this a good/bad end thing? There's no multiple endings. It's just always gonna be that outcome no matter what you do.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool, and then it's gonna be a fucking major bummer.
Yeah. And that's really it. Other than that, I thought this game was pretty neat.
Okay, well, that's interesting. That this is the stream where we destroy bad games with facts and logic, and your takeaway is, I have my problems with this game, but I think it's pretty neat.
Well, okay, I can say that about like everything I've talked about. I liked elements of Baldur's Gate. Like, Baldur's Gate had a good story for the most part.
You ragged on Baldur's Gate, though. You really fucking tore into it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I will say that, like, this game is just broken. Like, if you're trying to play it normally as is without fucking around with it, you're gonna have an abysmal time.
Okay.
In that sense, it is just a very poorly designed game.
Yeah, okay, alright. Well, Annie, after all that we just talked about, I have one major question for you.
Sure.
If you could take morphine to gain superpowers, what superpower do you think you would get?
To put on lingerie, probably.
Oh, that's the superpower. It's just put on
Yeah.
lingerie. Okay,
Yeah. That's it.
that's pretty cool.
I put on lingerie, and then I get like a free insta kill on like the first person I see.
would you use that very often? Take morphine, put on lingerie, and then just fucking murder a dude?
I guess. Maybe if I was really annoyed that day, maybe. Which I guess there's technically nothing stopping me from just taking morphine and doing that anyway.
Yeah, everything that you just described, that's not really a superpower. That's just something you can do if you're determined enough. That's insane.
Well, okay, I need to be in bullet time too, is the thing.
Oh yeah, no, fair enough.
Okay, so that would be my superpower, is that I go into bullet
Bullet
time.
And
Yeah.
the lingerie and the murdering are just completely unrelated. Those are just things that you choose to do when you're in bullet time. Okay. Well,
Spend like 3 minutes in bullet time just changing.
yeah. Now it's my turn because we're getting a little too close to movie night, and so
Oh, that's true.
I at
got
least-
a rapid fire.
I at least want to get through 3 more games. So
Sure.
this one is gonna be something that Fluffy might relate to because you were there when this happened. In fact, you were the one playing the game. Was it Secrets of Mana? Yep, this is it.
Secrets of
this is
Mana?
it. Secrets of Mana, we have some fucking problems with this game.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh no, this game.
Yeah. This is Secrets of Mana.
Okay, I'm curious. Give me the
All
give me
right.
the deets.
So, you have to realize that my experience with Secrets of Mana was absolutely atrocious, and uniquely so compared to Fluffy's experience with the game.
Okay.
Because when we started Secrets of Mana, the first thing that we assumed is that it was going to be a multiplayer game, because it's literally on its Wikipedia page, and everyone who ever talks about it says that it's a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
We played this game for, I think, like 2 hours straight, and I was sitting there the entire time with my controller in my hand, ready to play the game when it became multiplayer, and it never became a multiplayer game.
What are you talking about? What?
Okay, we didn't get very far in the quest. I'm going to say that
Sure.
right now. We got to the first dungeon before Fluffy rage quit.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, we had to go through the entire tutorial, and then the first boss fight, and then we entered the first dungeon, and throughout all of that process, I was sitting there with a controller unable to do anything because there was no multiplayer functionality yet. Apparently, it's just later in the game. I think you probably have to play the game for 2.5 to 3 hours before you unlock multiplayer.
That's awful. Like I'm thinking of like how often it was likely the situation where like you have two siblings in the like early 90s sitting down to play this game.
Yeah.
And you got like the younger one on player 2 just like waiting.
Yeah, no, like,
having an awful time. They're not playing together.
I was the fucking little twerp with the second controller. I was sitting there, I was like, Fluffy, when am I gonna get to play? I was plugged into the game the whole time, and I never got to play it.
I've never heard of a multiplayer, like a couch co-op multiplayer game that doesn't allow you to do the multiplayer like right off the bat from the start screen. That's crazy.
So bad. So from here on out, I'm just gonna be describing Fluffy's experience with the game.
Sure.
So when we started the game, we started divvying out voices, and you know that's just typical stream stuff. We love to do the voice acting. But while we were doing that, I started noticing that on stream end, not for me and Fluffy, not on our screens, but for stream, there was huge visual glitches that would just corrupt the entire screen every once in a while. And those visual glitches are still preserved in the VOD on Fluffy's channel.
Really?
Yeah, you might not... It might be a difficult VOD to find, because it's not titled Secrets of Mana. It's titled something like We Go Back to the Game Dimension or something.
Oh, I see.
But, like, this persisted throughout the entire time we played the game. Just, like, some text boxes, especially ones that were pronounced by a particular ghost, just caused the screen to bug the fuck out. And I don't know why. Because I didn't see it on my end. And I was sitting there with the game in front of me. But, the tutorial section of this game is very, very long. Like, you were talking about this before with your 12-hour tutorial in fucking Star Wars game.
Star Wars.
It's not that bad. But, like, for an RPG game, like, you learn how to swing your sword and how to attack and how to use your abilities fairly quickly. And yet, it still just makes you continue to run through story beats in a tutorial section. Like, the very beginning of the game is it just drops you into gameplay, and you learn how to use your sword, and you learn how to use attacks and everything. And that's all right. But then you enter the village, and it's just, for the next, like, 30 minutes, you're just stuck in cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. And you can't go anywhere.
Goodness. Ah!
And so, like, I say it had a needlessly long tutorial, but what I really mean is that after the tutorial, it had a needlessly long story segment that didn't really establish anything. It was kind of just mostly flavor text.
It's so gnarly to think that this is, like, it's a full-on JRPG, but it has, like, arcadey gameplay, which makes it so different and jarring.
Yeah.
Like, that two completely different like gameplay philosophies are kind of culminating in this.
Okay, so after you're done, like, just like mashing A through the cutscene section, it drops you into a boss fight against a mantis, like a giant praying mantis.
Yeah.
I don't know if me and Fluffy are the ones that just didn't get it. That mantis boss fight just seems like it makes no fucking sense. It teaches you nothing about the game. You don't get any new moves that you use on the mantis. It just constantly attacks you to the point where you die repeatedly, and eventually you have to brute force your way through it without learning how to fight it. Like, you already been through the tutorial section. You learned how to fight small creatures, but none of those moves work on the mantis. However, there are no new moves that you learn that actually do harm the mantis, so you just kind of have to fucking keep stabbing it and dying repeatedly. And it's possible that the fucking hardcore Secrets of Mana player would just say that we didn't, like, read a text prompt somewhere or something. I genuinely don't know what the fuck you were supposed to do against the mantis boss. It just seemed like it was stupidly designed. I don't think it really actually teaches you anything. But after you manage to finally brute force your way through the mantis boss, you get to, like, one last cutscene before they send you to the first dungeon. And by this point, Fluffy was already fucking angry at the game, only to find out that when you go to the first dungeon, the cutscenes aren't over. The first, like, 10 minutes in the dungeon are just mashing A through text boxes. No! Yet again!
In the dungeon!
In the first dungeon, after you've already been through 30 minutes of story. And, like, by this point, Fluffy was already like, I don't want to play this game anymore, let's switch to something else. And you want to know what happened? Right as Fluffy said that, we got raided. And...
by who?
I don't even remember by who. We got raided 3 times throughout the entirety of this stream. Once, when we were in the middle of the story section. Once, I think, during the Mantis boss fight. And when Fluffy was finally fucking done with the game and just didn't want to play it anymore, we got raided a third time. This was one of the most raided into streams we've ever had on Fluffy's channel, and it was one of the games that we just wanted to stop playing, but we knew that with all of the fucking new chatters, we didn't really have a backup plan. This was our plan A and B. And
Oh, gosh. Okay.
So the fact that we got raided 3 times just made, like, us keep having to play this game. But after mashing A enough times in the dungeon, Fluffy just couldn't take it anymore. She came up with a plan C on the fly. Because even though we got raided, like, 5 minutes earlier, she just couldn't take it anymore. She fucking closed the game. And I was still, like... I didn't even get to play it, because there's no multiplayer.
So, what did you guys do after that?
I think we did a just chatting stream where we just talked about fucking anything. And then I think we eventually settled on a Google Maps stream where we just looked around Google Maps, Google Earth, and stuff.
I see. So you literally didn't actually get to even playing this game.
No, I didn't.
That
never
is
got
new
to play
levels
Secrets
right
of
there.
Mana. I was
can
the
see
Tails.
why you have beef.
Yeah, I have insane beef. All right. Well, let's move on to your next one, Annie.
Yeah, that's... Oh, gosh, that's impressive. I don't know if I can one-up that.
All right.
All right, but I will try. I will try. So, here. Let's do... Okay, let me get a good one. I'm probably not going to get through this entire list, so I'm going to skip to all the interesting, beefy ones I have. Okay. So, we have Fable. It released on the Xbox. I don't think it was a launch title, but it came out pretty early on in the Xbox's life cycle. To the point where, like... everyone was buying an Xbox because they wanted to play Halo and stuff. But also, this was like the RPG reason.
Yeah, no.
Like, if you had a PlayStation and you loved Final Fantasy and you loved JRPGs and you loved RPGs and you were looking for a reason to buy an Xbox, this is what you bought. You bought the first Fable game.
Yeah.
Now, the ultimate sin this game commits is that everyone's British in like the most accentuated and awkward and annoying and obnoxious way conceivable.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think there is a single character that I actually like. I don't even think there's a single character that I have just moderate feelings on. I think I legitimately, genuinely hate every character that shows up in this game on screen, no matter how insignificant they are. Because the thing is, there's a nickname mechanic in this game. So depending on what your nickname and rank inside the little adventurers guild is, people are going to have like set dialogue for you. Now, your first nickname, I think, is Chicken Chaser or something. And that's just what everyone in the game is going to call you so long as you have that name selected as your nickname. And that's the one you start out with until you progress further along. And they will never shut up. They will never fucking shut up. Anytime you go to a store, anytime you pick up a quest, anytime you walk by someone, they are going to call you that nickname and give you like some snide remark. I fucking hate every character in this game. I need to make it abundantly clear that I feel very bad if I so much as select a rude dialogue option in a game. Right, I feel like bad. I feel like I've taken mental damage if I tell any character to go fuck themselves.
That's fair. That's fair.
This is the only game that I have complete and total apathy for. I was totally fine just mowing down everyone I saw.
Oh, yeah.
I was totally fine attacking any quest giver I had my way. I was fine attacking like the main cast that I'm supposed to be friends with. And you can totally attempt to do all of that. And I definitely did and wanted to and tried doing many, many times because I was that irritated by everything this game throwed at me. As such, I became an evil character very quickly, which it makes you bald.
Oh.
It just makes you bald and grow horns.
Oh, okay.
Because the morality system is represented in your character's physical appearance. So if like you're a morally good character, you develop like a little halo and your skin's all like porcelain and pale and you're all like happy and smiling. And the second you start like being evil, you start like balding and like you have like veins on your skin and you're all like gross and sickly looking.
I mean, what did they expect when they made a game full of British people?
Yeah, so my character looked like that at like the age of 19 because your character's age is represented by their level. So if you're like a low-level character, you're a kid and like past the little tutorial point, you're like 16 or 17. And that's just what my dude looks like right off the bat because I managed to max out my evil meter within like the first couple of hours because I was that fed up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hate everything about this game.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, the way you've described it, I'd hate it too.
Especially for long-running RPGs, the baseline is that you want me to care about the worlds and the characters. You want to make me invested, you know, so I could save the world at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you love Final Fantasy VII because Tifa's cool. And,
yeah.
The Cloud is like a neat dude. You love these characters. You want them to stay alive. You don't want their world to blow up. I wanted this world to blow up.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a failure on the part of the authors.
Yes. And that is pretty much like my main scorching opinion on this game. The combat's boring, the gameplay's boring, everything else about this is middling. It is just unremarkable in every way, insofar as that it's not like unforgivably awful and bad in like the world building and character and writing departments.
Yeah, okay.
And that's it. I just hate this game. I don't hate many games. I should make it clear. Like, I try to find some value in, especially because like I bought this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try very hard to like it. Nope.
Yeah, you just couldn't do it.
I cannot bring myself to enjoy this game. It is impossible.
That's fine. All right, now. Many of you in the audience may have heard of this classic, but I'm gonna have my own beef with it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The king of gaming, the one, the only, Mario 1.
Oh my god!
We're doing it. We're gonna rag on Mario. Nice. Alright, so, when discussing my problems with Mario 1, I need to discuss the fact that me and Fluffy planned a stream where we would play the entirety of Mario 1. And right off the bat, we ran into fucking tech problems with it.
Sure.
We loaded Mario 1 in RetroArch to emulate it, and we did a thing where... Just like with Secrets of Mana, we were able to do local multiplayer via the internet, because RetroArch allows for that. Except in Mario 1, it actually worked, and we were able to play together without the game just saying, no, you're not allowed to do that, for whatever reason. But for some reason, the game itself was just too loud in RetroArch. It was blasting our ears off at the start of
I
stream.
had that same issue, yeah.
It was blaring. I don't know if it's a problem with RetroArch or with the ROM, but the game's just too loud. Right?
That might be RetroArch.
It could be RetroArch.
Because I think you can turn down the volume in the emulator.
No, that's fair.
But,
But I'm still gonna blame the game for that.
Sure. You have that right.
So, when we first started playing Mario 1, I was actually fucking amazing at the game. Dude, I fucking soloed every single enemy. I managed to get the World 4 skip first try.
Okay, nice.
Like, I was really killing it at Mario. Meanwhile, Fluffy was not doing that well. It took her a couple tries to get to level 2. But
Okay.
that's the thing is, like, even though I was doing so well at the start, I hit like this kind of wall where around World 4 I just couldn't. Every attempt, I would die to something random or like bullshit.
Yeah.
And like, the first 2 levels were really easy, and then because I skipped to World 4, I didn't even have to try World 3. But like, there's a difficulty spike, and we didn't play the game long enough for me to get over that spike. So I just simply kept dying in World 4, and that's every single run would just end there.
And that's it?
Yeah, no, pretty much, because the entire time,
Past it?
the entire time, Fluffy never made it to World 3. She was always stuck in World 2, and I was constantly getting to World 4, but then not making it past it. One thing that really sucked about emulating this game on RetroArch was that the emulation was just extremely laggy, and this was noticeable because we were streaming from Fluffy's computer, and I was playing on my computer. I would pull off insanely cool jumps and stuff, and it would look like Mario just kind of teleported on Fluffy's screen. So whenever I was playing the game, it looked like none of my movement was really visible. It just kind of looked like Mario was doing a bunch of weird stuff. And then you could tell on Discord, I would react to Mario's death before it even happened on their screen. So stream would see me jump on an enemy, and then I'd be like, oh fuck, I jumped into a hole. And then like 5 seconds later, I would jump into a hole.
So there was a lot of delay, the
Yeah.
connection was pretty spotty.
That was
right.
entirely RetroArch's fault. RetroArch just had spotty connection. However, I'm gonna blame the game for that.
Okay.
So I was pretty good at the game. I definitely got World 4 is halfway through the game. I could have made it further if I kept playing and eventually got over that difficulty spike, right? I'm not going to blame it for having a difficulty spike. The problem is that even if you're good at the game, and if you actually know how to play platformers, the game's just not really rewarding. Getting to the end of the level just feels like... It doesn't feel like a goal, it feels like an obligation. I don't know. There's never a point when I'm playing Mario 1 when I feel like I'm really enjoying the gameplay of the platformer very much. I don't know if that makes sense.
I have conflicting opinions, but we can maybe get into that a bit later, because I did also think of having a Mario game on here.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
But this is really interesting because I also streamed this game. I managed to complete it on stream, so we have a interesting little connecting point here on this.
Yeah,
we both played through it.
I don't think that like the game's too hard or anything. I just feel like even when you get good at it, you know what you're doing, and you're like speeding through levels, it never feels like you're having fun playing the game. I don't know.
Man, I'm looking back on my Mario 1 stream, and the level of fun was about as equally proportionate to my level of just sheer rage, because I don't think I ever got so tilted playing a game before.
Oh my god, yeah. No.
I got I got so pissed that I kind of managed to overcome hurdles on sheer spite.
Yeah, okay, that's funny.
Like, I just was not having. I would not let myself lose to this fucker of a game right here, and I just somehow persisted. But I did manage to eke out fun whenever I completed a level that I died like 12 times on, and it was just like I was running on pure adrenaline most of the time, probably.
Okay,
It was a very unique experience.
Okay,
I don't like get into stuff quite like that so much.
I mean, like, I think a lot of Rage games are based on Mario 1, and that might be for a reason.
They are.
It might
like,
be because...
I wanted to beat this game as a fuck you to the game.
Yeah. Like, there are Cat Mario and other Rage games. They must be based on Mario 1 because Mario 1 was already kind of a Rage game.
Yeah. And my fucked ass beat this and was like, all right, I'm gonna do Mario 2 now.
Yeah. Sometimes we're just delusional. We bite off more than we can chew.
That was... I don't know what I was smoking, because Mario 2 is legitimately like one of the most difficult games I've played ever. But yeah, something possessed me to both play and enjoy Mario 1 and 2 all the way to completion.
Alright. Okay, I have one last complaint about this game.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I literally do not know why this happened, but the entire time that we were streaming this game, I guess something about the fact that Fluffy had RetroArch and Discord open at the same time, although this might have been after Fluffy had already put those two things on different computers, so I really don't know if Mario had anything to do with this at all. But the entire time we were playing the game, my voice was coming through with this really scratchy, almost VHS-y quality, and the only way to describe it is that while playing Mario, I turned into an analog horror villain.
Okay.
And I'm gonna blame that on the game. Why the fuck did Mario turn me into an analog horror villain?
Most of your criticisms are fucking the emulator or OBS or Discord.
Yeah, but like, why did Mario turn me into an analog horror villain? Why did it do that to me? Alright. You know what, I'm done talking about this game. Let's move on.
Fair enough. I will say, there are like a lot of valid gripes with the first Mario game.
Yeah.
That is absolutely like a thing. We're getting kind of to the end.
Yeah,
like
I think one more for each of us.
Alright, okay. Let me get you a good one. I have not talked about Deception Invitation into Darkness in very wide depth in a while.
Oh my god, that's kind of interesting. The just like that visual.
Oh, I'm waiting for it on my end.
Hold on, let me see if I can get... Yeah, this is someone else's thumbnail, but I am going to steal it because it's a very good thumbnail.
It's cool. I like the main like villain girl. She's pretty neat.
Is there a way I can get this image but without the giant fucking review? This is the problem with stealing people's... I might be able to just use gameplay footage here rather than that image.
Oh! Yeah, if you want, you can totally do that.
Okay, this will probably work. Okay.
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 This game is extremely fascinating. I love a lot of ideas with this game.
Yeah.
Now, the whole premise is, I think you're like this prince or some member of like the aristocracy, and your brother wants the throne, and frames you for some crime. So you like have to flee your home, and you end up finding refuge in this like haunted castle. Now, you get into the castle, and you meet this lady who's like, oh, we need a new Dark Lord. That's gonna be you. You get to be that now. So you just find ownership in this castle in these like creepy woods somewhere.
Yeah.
And your goal is to kill the people that venture inside, that dare to venture inside. Now, early on, it's like a lot of weak people. It's like, oh, okay, some like girl got lost and shows up in your castle. You gotta deal with her.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is by like setting nefarious traps and tricks, either to scare them, get them to follow you, or you're chasing them around the place with the goal of, I don't know, dropping an anvil on their head or something. You have to plan out all of these traps in your castle. You get the full castle, you get to customize the castle, you get to customize where the rooms in the castle go. It is very neat and very in-depth. There's a lot that you can do. And I love that. And your main dude is incredibly weak. He doesn't have any offensive capabilities. Your main goal is just to kind of run around and bait the AI into either following you or chasing them around to lead them into the traps. So early on, the missions are pretty simple. You're like, okay, you're taking down like village people and stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. Then the village people's family starts showing up because they're missing now. And then like, oh, because like more people are disappearing from the village, like, oh, knights are being called in, guards are coming. Oh, and then because the guards are being dealt with, the next level is like, all right, you have like these heroes and generals showing up, trying to deal with you. And steadily, your reputation as like the Dark Lord or whatever starts growing more and more powerful people begin coming your way, and you need more beefy traps to deal with them. This game is so cool on all of those aspects. I love the story, I love the gameplay elements, the setup is really neat and original. The only problem is the AI is fucking stupid.
Oh no.
So this is a PlayStation game. First PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because you can't like hit people, the entire like you can only deal with people by luring them into traps. So you have to bait them to follow you, or you have to chase them around. The AI does not know how to do anything. You can scare a person in one room, you can chase them into like a nearby room, and they will forget you exist at that point. And you can bait some like strong beefy knight dude into chasing you, and as soon as you leave a room, he forgets you exist. The AI has very poor memory, very poor tracking. They do not know what they're doing half the time. So most of your gameplay is just aimlessly wandering around and trying to like maneuver the NPCs and getting them to where you want them to go. And you are just corralling them into these traps and very poorly and awkwardly doing it the entire ride through.
Yeah, okay.
So very cool concept. The game becomes very quickly unplayable. Because it is entirely dependent on the intelligence of the AI, and it is not very intelligent. It becomes very frustrating.
No, I get that. Like a game like this, where all of the concepts you described are pretty fundamentally dependent on AI, and then the AI isn't good.
Now, we did fix this.
Oh!
Because this game does have sequels and spin-offs, and I've played at least 2 of them on stream along with this. And the one that comes afterwards, they changed up a lot. So you're not like a Dark Lord anymore, but you're playing as like this cool girl from a third-person perspective who has the ability to just summon traps.
Oh, cool.
anywhere in a room. So instead of like running an entire castle, which is very big and empty, and you're just kind of like wandering around aimlessly for minutes on end, getting to where you need to go, all the gameplay is very tight, compact, action-oriented. You can summon traps within like the snap of a button, and it's very responsive, a lot more fun, and the AI is a lot more fun too, especially because it's a lot more close quarters, so they don't lose track of you nearly as quickly. But it is sad because you're not gonna. I wish the first game worked. I guess is what I want most.
I get
but
that.
the sequels are good too. I do like them. And that's pretty much all I have for this game. If you want to move on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. No, that sounds. I mean, this. You said the sequels are better, right?
The sequels are very,
Yeah.
very good.
There's
Deception 2, and then I think the spin-off I played was called Traps.
Okay.
And that one was on the PlayStation 2. Graphics are pretty awesome. Story's very cool. Very fun endings. Lots of replayability too. They made it a much more arcadey experience, and it fucking works because you can chain traps together in those later games. You could like drop an anvil on someone's head, they get clonked out, they like wobble around 2 squares over, they fall into a barrel, and which then like makes them fall down some stairs into a spike pit, and you can just keep doing that forever. It's really fun once you get good at it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'm really glad that it ended up having good sequels, because it sounded like it was a cool concept that just got executed on poorly.
Absolutely.
Alright. Well, for my final game, this is gonna be a blast from the past. We've actually already talked about it on this stream, but I have so much more to say about it. Are you guys ready for the one?
I'm ready.
The only Overwatch. We're talking about Overwatch.
Oh, it all comes back together.
It all comes back together.
That's awesome.
I have a lot to say about Overwatch.
Me too, actually. Goodness.
Yeah, okay, so, like, a very important context for Overwatch is that I had an ex-girlfriend once who played Overwatch all the time. It was, like, her favorite game.
Yeah.
This was back when Overwatch first came out. When was that? Like 2016?
Yeah, like 2016.
Yeah, so back then I had a girlfriend that just loved Overwatch. And that girlfriend was so fucking bad. She, like, literally, she used to do this thing where... I lived with her once I turned 18. We, like, did this whole... like thing where we would clean up the kitchen every single day, but she would constantly go into the fridge and grab condiments, and when she would use them on a sandwich, she would just leave them out on the tables, and I would be the one that would have to put them back in the fridge, and I would get on her ass about it, but she wouldn't stop doing it, and eventually I just had to kind of accept that was just like a thing that I was gonna have to deal with. And, like, it doesn't stop there, because this girl, like, she used to, like, leave dirty towels on the bathroom floor every time she took a shower. It was insane.
Basic stuff.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. I've never been very good about doing dishes, so sometimes the sink got piled up. But I remember there was this one time when, like, she put so many dishes in the sink, and I wasn't washing them, so I told her that she had to wash her dishes, because I was washing mine. I'm not good at washing dishes in bulk, is what I was saying, but I was washing mine in the sink. But, like, she left so many that we got, like, a mold infestation covering the entire bottom of the sink, and that required, like...
Wait, did she not clean out the dishes?
No.
Like just very basic rinse?
No, she just dropped them straight into the sink.
No, that's not what you're supposed to do.
It was so bad.
Oh.
And like, that's not even, like, I'm talking about basic stuff here, actually. she used to like okay, so like we used to like play fight, you know, like lovers do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she would hit me a little too hard. She would leave bruises.
Oh no!
It was pretty bad, actually. I was not. I would tell her to stop. It was like, you know how Wilbur Soot used to do that thing where he would play bite, but then he would just do it too hard to his girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. She would also do that to me, but that's unrelated. The main thing that I'm concerned about is the punching, but the biting did get a little annoying sometimes.
I mean, I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah. So yeah, no. What was I talking about?
Overwatch?
Yeah, okay. Overwatch, yeah. Okay. So I had a girlfriend who played Overwatch, right? This girl that I've been talking, she used to fucking break CDs and then just scratch me with them for no reason.
What?
It was insane. I don't know why she would do that.
Improvised weaponry?
Yeah, she was crazy. Dude,
What's her deal?
oh my god, she used to do this thing where every time we would get fast food, you know those little like packets of like honey mustard or ranch that come with the bag? She used to just take them and then pop them on the top of my head so that I'd get covered in sauce. And then she would immediately run over to her room and start playing Overwatch, like right afterwards. I was
She's
left
like a bad
messy.
person.
Yeah.
Who fucking does that?
Dude, she was insane.
Oh my god, what? How does a person get to like the position where they're grown ass adult and they're still doing shit like that?
I know, right? Like this is high school bully level shit.
Oh my god, oh, man.
She used to stick broom handles up my ass. I don't know why she did that. It hurt a lot.
Jesus Christ. Every new sentence, it's worse. So is that why you don't like Overwatch?
Yeah, I think that's why I don't like Overwatch. I gotta be honest, I've never played the game, but like...
Oh.
I can't get into Overwatch because she was really into it and she used to do that shit to me.
Okay. I've played Overwatch.
All right.
Played a lot of Overwatch.
Do you want me to turn this over to you now so you get to complain about Overwatch?
Okay.
I've been planning this bit the entire stream, Annie. Like, remember when you said most of my complaints about Mario were about the emulator? That was a lead up to this bit.
That's awesome. I love this. It's so fucking funny.
I planned out this entire stream just for this one bit.
This is awesome.
And you want to know what's even funnier?
Content I love.
You want to know what's even funnier, Annie?
Huh.
The girlfriend I was talking about isn't based on my ex-wife. I made her up completely because
What?
I wanted to make up a story about a girlfriend who turned me off of Overwatch.
You just want to make it like weirdly, deeply personal.
Yes, for no reason, because I thought it would be so funny. That girl doesn't exist.
That makes me so happy. Thank God. Like, the dishes thing terrified me. That made me scared. Ugh. That's good. Oh, that's so good. Oh, man. Fuck. I need a minute. Ugh. Well, I also had an ex-girlfriend who was really into Overwatch, who was real. Oh, man. Jeez. Louise. She was actually kind of good at it, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
She was pretty good.
That's nice.
out of our entire friend group, she was the first one to kind of like pick it up, and then like I'd start playing it at her place and be like, okay, this isn't like awful, I guess. And I'd start playing it, and then I get one of my buddies to start playing it, and then like, okay, our like whole friend group is playing Overwatch together, and we're doing like ranked matches and stuff. In terms of like actual beef, it's just I don't play that many competitive online multiplayer shooters anymore.
That's fair.
Or really at all. So this was the only one that I really got into. And it's just one of those situations where the game just gets steadily worse over time as they introduce new maps, new patches, new heroes, so on and so forth. Because every time they introduce like a huge new update, it throws the balance out of whack. Meaning that, like, for example, one of my mains was Mercy at the time. I really loved playing Mercy. I loved doing support characters. And
I have to say this. I'm sorry. I did make a whole joke about a fake ex-girlfriend that played Overwatch. My real ex-wife did play Overwatch. She wasn't nearly as bad as I described. She mained Mercy. She liked Mercy a lot, so...
Mercy's cool. I like Mercy. One of the big reasons I stopped playing was because apparently the community was bitching that Mercy was too weak or something. So the developers thought to give her more offensive capabilities, which led to the infamous Battle Mercy saga. So they beefed up Mercy way too fucking much. And through the span of a week, it disrupted the entire meta, and everyone who was playing online was playing Mercy, and they were like soloing teams. Like that's how like crazy and broken she was. And mind you, her only offensive capabilities is that she has a pistol that she can switch to, and it deals like the least amount of damage out of all the characters.
Yeah. So
people were somehow managing to get play of the game, soloing entire teams just with that pistol. They gave her a new ultimate ability, which allows her to like fly around, and it amps up her damage output by like 10 times. And that's how she ends up like soloing all these people. Before that, her ultimate was that she gets a free resurrection on one recently downed character.
Yeah, that's a pretty good actual ability in a game like that.
It's good. It's very reasonable. I think they beefed it up later to where if there are like multiple dead characters nearby, she like hops in the middle and uses her ultimate, she could res potentially like an entire team if they're in close proximity to each other. Very cool, very balanced. There's not many instances where stuff like that would happen. Usually you just res like the tank of your team, and then that help everyone else out for a little bit longer. But the Battle Mercy update came out, everyone flooded Mercy, everyone mained her for a little while, and then because it just caused such a huge upset in the community, she got nerfed so unbelievably hard that she was virtually unplayable afterwards. They made her less effective at support and offense than she was at before the patch even happened, like as she was originally. Completely unplayable. And that's the part where I stopped caring about Overwatch that much. And eventually, the rest of my friends stopped playing as similar updates happened. Where they started reworking, and not just like rebalancing existing abilities, but they'd give old characters brand new ultimates and brand new abilities that fucked with the status quo and just made things a lot more unenjoyable. Because they had the mains having to learn new strategies effectively. And then, of course, you'd have new characters get introduced that can easily counter old ones. and again, that causes more upsets in the community. It's just an awful game to play for any prolonged period of time, which is why I haven't given Overwatch 2 really any attention whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
It's just not a fun game. One thing that I really fucking hate about it is originally Overwatch was prided on its cinematic trailers, which teased like really in-depth lore and story that simply does not exist in the game whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
They spent a lot of resources selling you on the idea that like these characters matter, they're important, there's an overarching plot. It's the whole idea of like, oh, the Overwatch is getting back together and reassembling after their disbandment. But you never see all of that actually play out beyond the cinematic trailers, because the entirety of the game is just the non-canon online matches.
Uh-huh.
Overwatch 2 teased a campaign story mode where, like, you'd actually see the events of the cinematic trailer kind of play out in gameplay, except they removed that before launch. So, all of these years in build-up and shit, and the lore just doesn't matter, despite them hyping it up so much.
Yes.
It is just a dog shit game. Dog shit series.
No, that was a way more nuanced take than me just ragging on my ex-girlfriend. But I gotta be honest, she did make me not want to play Overwatch.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. And that's that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Man,
it literally just hit 10 p.m. Do you think we should end the stream now?
Yeah, I think we can end the stream. This is a pretty good send-off.
I'm a little sad that we didn't ever get to Up or Narnia. Those Wii games.
Yeah.
We might have to talk about that the next time you're on my channel.
I didn't go through all my lists. I maybe got through about half. I still have a bunch of other games that I kind of glossed over and didn't really touch on all that much.
Are you
So if you ever want to have a part 2 in the
future. Sequel stream. Holy shit.
Ayo.
Stay tuned till next time, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.